Weiss Schwarz. Witness the strongest band together on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Ari Fureta, from commonplace to world's strongest. 12-deck and booster pack. On sale November 17th. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard! What's that? It's a grade 11? Can Team Wildress create a new future? Booster pack, Flight of Chakrabarthi. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard. I sever and manifest causality. Boldly cast it aside, this feeble, unstable world. Booster pack, Evenfall Onslaught. Bushiroad.
The flame of Leviathan rises, and new heroes must answer its roar. Will you join the adventure? Booster Set 3, Flame of Leviathan, coming soon.
Cardfight Vanguard! Encounters with heroes. Stories that will shape your soul are waiting for you. Booster Pack, Clash of the Heroes. Bushiroad!
A world with magic and science, parallel universe bathed in crimson, a magical high school, a virtual reality MMORPG world. It's time to take a trip down memory lane with Dengeki Bunko. Nostalgic titles like A Certain Magical Index, Shakugan no Shana, The Irregular at Magic High School, Sword Art Online, and many more are making a comeback with new illustrations. With 51 titles included in the set, there's definitely something for everyone. For our Bang Dream fans, Trial Deck Plus Bang Dream My Goal will also be performing on a Weiss Schwarz stage near you. The set features new illustrations that fans will want to add to their existing collections. Let's count down to the party! Premium Booster Bang Dream Girls Band Party Countdown Collection will also be performing on a stage to celebrate their 6th anniversary with glittering illustrations of your favourite Bang Dream girls. Don't miss out on this chance to update your collection with these new cards. From one idol to the next. You hear those cheers for an encore? We're happy to announce that Bochi and her friends will be bringing their performance to the stage of Weiss Schwarz as well. We'd love to have them now, but it's gonna take a while to convince Bochi to come out of her room, so we'll let you know once we manage to do so. One can never have enough idols performing, but heroines need a stage too. The heroines from Sai Kano will be making their comeback on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. The series may have reached its finale a few years back with the movie installment, but no matter who you root for, this is your chance to create a different ending for your favourite girl. Did you catch my clue at the start of this segment? We're returning to the world of Remnant in Premium Booster Ruby. Join Team Ruby and their newfound allies as they protect their world from the Grim. Intern-kun has shown me some tweets and I'm really impressed with your collections, and I look forward to seeing your updated collections once this set launches next year. That's quite a lot to take in. In case you missed it, here's a summary of what we've announced so far. Trick or treat! Welcome to the Bushiroad English Conference Autumn 2023. With Halloween right around the corner, our pumpkin spice lattes seem to have been replaced by carved pumpkins. Ready your hearts and your wallets, you're in for a fright. Now that we're halfway through the Bushiroad Championship Series 2023 season, if you've been living under a pumpkin, the World Finals will take place on February 3rd, 2024 at Akihabara UDX. That's right, we're heading back to Tokyo, Japan. I can't wait to see all of you again and crown some new world champions. If you need even more motivation to take part, here's your first look at the promo cards you receive for participating. And the champions for each game and format will be receiving these. Oh, those are some impressive promo cards. If you're yet to win an invite, fret not. BCS is still ongoing, so you still have a chance to earn an invite at the following locations. Here are the dates for North and Latin America, Europe, Asia and Oceania. The top 3 winners for each game and format will be invited to participate at the World Finals. What's more, if you emerge champion of your region, your flight and accommodations will be on us.
Weiss Schwarz, water, earth, fire, air. Join Aang and his friends in their adventure to master the 4 elements and defeat Fire Lord Ozai, Avatar The Last Airbender, Trial Deck Plus, Booster Pack and Supply Set. Now on sale, Bushiroad. Weiss Schwarz. It's time to show off the best performance on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Intro Deck and Booster Pack, Bang Dream, Girls Band Party, 5th Anniversary. Now on sale, Bushiroad. Weiss Schwarz. The Kansen of Azure Lane join the battle on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Trial Decks and Booster Pack, Azure Lane. Now on sale, Bushiroad.
For our fellow card fighters and Saniwa, your powerful Touken Danshi will be making a return in Touken Rumble Online 2023. Look forward to brand new mechanics that will grant them new strength and power in their Kiwame forms. Do bugs bug you? I sure hope not, because we'll be descending into the insect kingdom with Mushi King. Watch out for these super powered insects crawling your way into Booster Pack 13, Flight of Chakrabarti. What do you dream of when you dream of duets? I dream of Yume no Kesho. These collaboration promo cards with the Bang Dream AI singing synthesizer feature Poppy and Rose and will be available at the upcoming Bushiroad Expo Asia, Singapore 2023. For our international viewers, these promo cards will also be available at your local game stores. Stay tuned to our social media channels to find out how you can redeem these promo cards. And here's the recap for Cardfight Vanguard.
Weiss Schwarz. The Stage Girls Silver Screen Review is now a card game on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Review Starlight, the movie Booster Pack. Now on sale. Bushiroad.
Weiss Schwarz. The name of Eins Oregon continues to expand on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Booster Pack Nazareth Tomb of the Undead Volume 2. Now on sale. Bushiroad.
Shadowverse, which took the world by storm, greets a second dawn. As a trading card game. Arise, warriors. Be anointed in light, and soar towards a horizon more brilliant than you've ever seen before. Shadowverse Evolve. Build a deck to conquer a new age. Choose from 6 classes. Swordcraft, Runecraft, Dragoncraft, Forestcraft, Havencraft. And the Shadowverse Evolve Original, Abysscraft. Further bolster your forces with cards from the versatile neutral class. And grow your power beyond reckoning. storm the battlefield with powerful followers, or control the tides with masterful spells. The future glows at your fingertips. It is time for the newest chapter of our long, ever-shifting story. Shadowverse Evolve.
Are you dreaming of becoming the world champion? Don't let your dreams be dreams. Take part in the upcoming World Invitational 2023 Last Chance Qualifiers for, well, one last chance to qualify for the World Finals. The Last Chance Qualifiers will be open to all participants except those who have already earned a sponsored invite to the World Finals. I know many of you are raring to go, so here are the locations where the Last Chance Qualifiers will be held.
Weiss Schwarz. Experience the full-blown high school story on the stage of Weiss Schwarz once again. Saikano, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend Flat Booster Pack, now on sale. Bushiroad.
Weiss Schwarz. Witness the strongest band together on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Ari Fureta, From Commonplace to World's Strongest, Trial Deck and Booster Pack, on sale November 17th. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard! What's that? It's a grade 11? Can Team Wildress create a new future? Booster Pack, Flight of Chakrabarthi. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard. I sever and manifest causality. Boldly cast to the side this feeble, unstable world. Booster Pack, Evenfall Onslaught. Bushiroad.
The flame of Leviathan rises, and new heroes must answer its roar. Will you join the adventure? Booster Set 3, Flame of Leviathan, coming soon.
Cardfight Vanguard! Encounters with heroes. Stories that will shape your soul are waiting for you. Booster Pack, Clash of the Heroes. Bushiroad.
A world with magic and science, parallel universe bathed in crimson, a magical high school, a virtual reality MMORPG world. It's time to take a trip down memory lane with Dengeki Bunko. Nostalgic titles like A Certain Magical Index, Shakugan no Shana, The Irregular at Magic High School, Sword Art Online, and many more are making a comeback with new illustrations. With 51 titles included in the set, there's definitely something for everyone. For our Bang Dream fans, Trial Deck Plus Bang Dream My Goal will also be performing on a Weiss Schwarz stage near you. The set features new illustrations that fans will want to add to their existing collections. Let's count down to the party! Premium Booster Bang Dream Girls Band Party Countdown Collection will also be performing on a stage to celebrate their 6th anniversary with glittering illustrations of your favourite Bang Dream girls. Don't miss out on this chance to update your collection with these new cards. From one idol to the next. You hear those cheers for an encore? We're happy to announce that Bochi and her friends will be bringing their performance to the stage of Weiss Schwarz as well. We'd love to have them now, but it's gonna take a while to convince Bochi to come out of her room, so we'll let you know once we manage to do so. One can never have enough idols performing, but heroines need a stage too. The heroines from Sai Kano will be making their comeback on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. The series may have reached its finale a few years back with the movie installment, but no matter who you root for, this is your chance to create a different ending for your favorite girl. Did you catch my clue at the start of this segment? We're returning to the world of Remnant in Premium Booster Ruby. Join Team Ruby and their newfound allies as they protect their world from the Grim. Intern-kun has shown me some tweets and I'm really impressed with your collections, and I look forward to seeing your updated collections once this set launches next year. That's quite a lot to take in. In case you missed it, here's a summary of what we've announced so far. Trick or treat! Welcome to the Bushiroad English Conference Autumn 2023. With Halloween right around the corner, our pumpkin spice lattes seem to have been replaced by carved pumpkins. Ready your hearts and your wallets, you're in for a fright. Now that we're halfway through the Bushiroad Championship Series 2023 season, if you've been living under a pumpkin, the World Finals will take place on February 3rd, 2024 at Akihabara UDX. That's right, we're heading back to Tokyo, Japan. I can't wait to see all of you again and crown some new world champions. If you need even more motivation to take part, here's your first look at the promo cards you'll receive for participating. And the champions for each game and format will be receiving these. Wow, those are some impressive promo cards. If you were to win an invite, fret not. BCS is still ongoing, so you still have a chance to earn an invite at the following locations. Here are the dates for North and Latin America, Europe, Asia and Oceania. The top 3 winners for each game and format will be invited to participate at the World Finals. What's more, if you emerge champion of your region, your flight and accommodations will be on us.
Weiss Schwarz. Water, Earth, Fire, Air. Join Aang and his friends in their adventure to master the 4 elements and defeat Fire Lord Ozai, Avatar The Last Airbender, Trial Deck Plus, Booster Pack and Supply Set. Now on sale, Bushiroad. Weiss Schwarz. It's time to show off the best performance on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Intro Deck and Booster Pack, Bang Dream, Girls Band Party, 5th Anniversary. Now on sale, Bushiroad. Weiss Schwarz. The Kansen of Azure Lane join the battle on the stage of Weiss Schwarz.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome everybody to the Bushiroad Rumble Online Premium. Hopefully you guys are doing good. Hopefully you guys are doing well. It's your boy JJ. Nice to meet you all again for day number 2. Then we have our lovely co-hosts here, Fuzzy Paradox and Eric, Mr. Time Leap, or Vanguard Insider. Goes by like 3 names. I don't know which one is the real one right now. I'm trying to figure that out still. But how are you doing, Fuzzy? How are you feeling for today?
I'm doing good. I'm super excited to really see all the exciting top 8 matches that we have in store for y'all today. And yeah, I'm happy to be back. Always happy to be back with my fellow Europeans over here. Eric, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm finally recharged from yesterday's excitement and cannot wait to jump into the top 8 as we have 6 different variants of decks in line for us for top 8. So there's bound to be some exciting games in the coming hours here. So
oh
yeah.
My gosh,
Want to jump straight in?
Right, you're definitely right about that one. But before we get into the bracket and talk about the deck lists, we got to do some housekeeping. We got to talk about the events. And we have to talk about the format. So let's get into the format for today. For the top 8 bracket of today, it's going to be single and elimination best of 1, 40 minutes instead of the 35 minutes that we do happen to get in V Premium and Overdress, because Premium, you need that extra 5 minutes to kind of think about your G-Zone, look into there a little bit to find your winning line and to choose your winning future. And of course, we did have the day 1 being the best of 1 Swiss. And now we could take a look at the schedule real quick. Fuzzy, take that away.
Yeah, you got it. So as we could see here, of course, as of always, you want to make sure you're in your appropriate time zone. So for the lovely folks over here, we are starting at the wonderful time of 10 o'clock in the morning. However, you know, that might be different if you're in another region of the world. So always good to double check your time zones. And of course, similar time zones, of course, for our NA cast that will be happening later in the day as well. But that's just simply time. And time is something that we could talk about forever. But speaking of time, I'd rather just talk about a timely card that the people are going to be fighting for today, which is our top 8 prize cards. If Eric, you want to take that away for me?
Most definitely. And it's even more important than when we highlighted yesterday, because today these players are just an inch away of attaining these prizes, as we have the top 8 players fighting for 4th place, 3rd place, 2nd place, and 1st place prizes. Because as you can see here, if you manage to get 4th place, so if you win one more game today, you're able to win a certificate that shows that you're able to get this far in the tournament bracket for BRO Premium 2023. Now, if you manage to get 3rd place, you not only get the certificate, you also get a brand new booster box, as well as one of the new copies of the Hot Stem Chrono Jet. And don't mind you, it's the original artwork from the very first product. So very nice card art indeed. Now, if you manage to get 2nd place, you not only get all the aforementioned prizes, but you also get, instead of 1 copy, 2 copies of this Chrono Jet. So now you can display 1 and play with 1 copy if you really want to go that far. But I think most Chrono Jet players, Gear players, or maybe premium fanatics, or should I say GR fanatics, want to go for the 1st place prize, because not only do you get the certificate and the booster box, you get a whopping 4 copies, a whole playset of this very pretty new Chrono Jet Hot Stem promo full art SP of the original artwork. So these are prizes that me as a Gear player myself can only dream of. Sadly, I cannot compete here to win these prizes, but I can look at these on the screen because they're looking so nice. But that's, I think we have a lot to go over, so that was a bit of a surprise. Either we go into a preview of what the format has, but if we don't have the time and the players want to jump straight into top 8, which I can understand, we will head straight into the brackets to see what we can expect today.
So these are gonna be the top 8 finalists. These are your finalists of today. We have Entropy versus Darren, Aries versus Mana for John, Jansen.
Good, on point, on point.
Then we have Sage 1808. Then we have Human Shuma. Today, for our finalists, we'll be taking a look at the Chatson versus Yanal match for today. So we'll be taking a look at their profiles real quick and then getting into what they're running. So let's take a look at Yanal's first.
It is a deck that is a little near and dear to my heart, at least. Yanal here is going to be running a Highlander variant for Bermuda Triangle. Now, this list is a little interesting in my opinion. There are a couple of one of tech options that I see are interesting. Well, I say one of tech options. The entire deck is a one of tech option in a nutshell. But, you know, there are some really cool additions to here. Rate in particular is one that I see and I like to highlight over here. Definitely more of a restanding Vanguard option as opposed to having the option to restand your rear guards or multi-attack as Highlander is a little more known for. Something else to probably highlight here is the addition of Germain, which is the brand new cycle card that just recently released for Bermuda Triangle. So you got a little bit of nice of cycle action over there, filtering, hopefully trying to get some ideal maybe targets that you might want to use, as well as instigating more multi-attacks. As it's a very nice addition, as it's a pseudo Spica in a sense, except it doesn't need GB, which is always very nice. Some other cards I probably would want to highlight over here, at least in my opinion, I think are some things to take a note are, well, to bring it back, some of the cards here I see, such as the Eleanor, which is the Grade 2 Ghost, as well as possibly the Saya as well. Those are options that you would use to Soul Blast and perhaps use as a ride down option. Whereas it might not be as prevalent in this format because of all the new history collection things and being able to circumvent the ride down mechanic via those means. However, in something like an open deck format, if you know your opponent might not be potentially running the history collection cards, well, then all the more reason to probably pivot to something like a ride down strategy, which is always really nice to see. But that's just, of course, the main deck. Let's take a quick look at the G Zone, and we can explain it a little further than that. And yes, as we can see, there is a couple of really cool cards here. Of course, the namesake of this deck, in my honest opinion, is Heltruda. Heltruda is just such a powerful card. Being able to use that in combination with something like Reindeer or something in combination with Ange to instigate a lot of multi-attacks, a lot of Vanguard attacks, using something like Reindeer's effect afterwards to create more Vanguard swings. And then in case you don't have the necessary resources to do something like that, you could always pivot, and you can rely on something like Tiroa as another large restanding Vanguard to finish off potential opponents. And then, of course, one lovely and kind of funny card I would like to highlight here is the Frederica. Frederica is also really nice because it is in itself, too, a Highlander card, but it's a true Highlander card. So her effect is you reveal the top cards of your deck, and if they all have different names, all of them, including your triggers, Reindeer is a little more specific. It just says normal units. Then you get to basically superior call your G units down, and they all get plus 15k. So that's really funny. And also, if your deck actually gets to that point really, really thin and compressed, then it could potentially lead to a game state where this might become a viable option. So I'm excited to see how this is going to be going against the opponent's deck, which if you want to take it away, we could explain that deck as well.
And here we have the opponent, which is very close and dear to my heart. It's Vanquisher Narukami. Now, we have seen one in the Swiss bracket. Sadly, I couldn't commentate this one, but now I can. And this is essentially the new iteration of Vanquisher / Eradicators, as we have a restriction list that hit some cards for them. But the deck is still really damn strong. Like we've seen it before in its Swiss. It has a lot of good options, a lot of removal, binding mechanics. The G-Zone is very strong. And now we have shenanigans from Standard, with the Grade 4 being introduced with Esper Uradeya, which can be in clutch like on an Honolulu turn because it doesn't count Counter Blast. It is Soul Blast. It's really versatile. It allows to control the board very effectively with the insane amount of multi-attack. And in a card like Forbidal, it being able to search out your Grade 4 Esper Uradeya and immediately call to the field if you need to is a very powerful combination. And we're probably going to see a lot of fireworks spreading around. But if we take a look at the G-Zone, it's basically a lot of cookie cutter cards. We know cards that the clan is known for that's very powerful, like Exterminate. An interesting choice is VMAX, because some players opt to run it, some players aren't. It can be a win condition if this situation arises, but it's very situational. But then we have cards, of course, like Stunverse, Closer Dragon, which, funny enough, did come up in Swiss, so maybe it will come up here as well. And then there are powerful G-Guards like Impede Dragon and Bulwark are just staple cards for Narukami that we can see almost in every single game. So overall, I feel like this, unlike the Bermuda Triangle deck, it's not a lot to highlight because Narukami is very known. It's very good staple cards that just do their thing. But sometimes you don't have to explain much to just showcase how strong the deck is. And this is one of those cases, in my opinion.
All right, without further ado, these are your finalists. Welcome to Bushiroad Rumble Online 2023. This is your top 8. Let's Cardfight.
Let's rumble. Yeah. All right, so on the left here, we have Chadson playing the Tried, the True, the Tested Narukami, and on the right, we have Yanal playing Bermuda Triangle Highlander. Based on how the emotions are going, it looks like Yanal is going first, and oh my goodness, it looks like he's starting out with a G assist here.
I mean, this doesn't look all too great if this is the start of your game. But to be fair, we've seen this before in Swiss. This does not spell the end of you as a player. You can come back, because we saw this with Grand Blue, and Grand Blue still managed to clutch the win at the end.
And I think that's one of the very unique aspects of playing in Premium, is that even off of a G assist, yeah, it'll hurt, like losing potential, like perfect guards or extra shielding or whatever. But if you do get like a lucky break here or there in the middle of your turns, I feel like you can kind of do exactly what you need for your win condition to make it happen.
And it looks like Yanal is able to find a Grade 1, I believe, but I cannot see which copy he found.
A little fuzzy on my screen as well, but by the looks of it, it looks like a Myrtle. And Myrtle is actually...
Myrtle or a Perle, one of the two. It could be even a Betty. The artwork is usually pretty much the same.
I'm pretty sure it's Myrtle, and Myrtle is actually would be, in my opinion, one of the ideal rides here because Myrtle in itself is a very nice card to be able to cycle and filter for one of your cards. Essentially, you're swapping one card for another. You're allowed to draw a card, and then if you do draw a card, you're going to be cycling a card back to your deck. And I actually believe that's the case here. I do. The screen's getting a little lighter on my end, and I do believe it is a Myrtle. So actually, while the G-Assist does hurt, it's not a bad ride at all.
Yeah, especially with the fact that his opponent knows all his cards in hand. The Myrtle allows you to change one of those cards, thus removing part of information against your opponent. And hand information is a very powerful thing in Vanguard because you guard with those cards. You know exactly what cards your opponent has. You can map out your attack patterns to maximize the value you can generate. Now, do note that what he discarded for his G-Assist was a perfect guard and a grade 2 that counts as a G-guard if you want to use it for guard. That's quite a lot of options being removed from Yanal this early on.
That it could be definitely the case, because then getting rid of Sandy did end up committing the Lisa Lot to the board, getting a recuse, but then it could have possibly still bounced it back next turn, either via the ability of like Aqua or anything else. I think this still puts them in a fine situation to kind of choose their battles, pick their fights wherever they need to.
And then, all right, so going to chats and sides, it looks like he's riding the Suku here for his grade 1 ride option. And actually, you know, if we're going to really expand on that, I do think the Suku is, you know, with the recent restriction that happened, I think if you have the option to go into Sweep Command Dragon and via the choice restrictions, then I think Nasuku then becomes your ideal grade 1 ride here.
I see. Because a lot of people still value it over Demolition Dragon because it's like too much value to get rid of. But Demolition Dragon draws you a card. You draw an extra cardboard. I like drawing cards.
I think most players like drawing cards. Yeah, I think that's fair to say for everybody. Like the advantage of Nusku, I would say, is that Nusku is essentially a grade 3 searcher, but for the entire archetype. Like being able to just filter for your deck for any of your key pieces, it's such a powerful option. Of course, you're not plussing off of it, but filtering is the name of the game sometimes because we see what it is.
Love this so much. So Yanal riding into the Aqua over here and then bouncing back the Lieslet to have the potential to probably call the Lieslet again to plus the board one more time. That to me is just one of the bread and butter plays I love about specifically Bermuda Triangle Highlander, just having the ability to just fill your board for essentially little to no cost. Ooh, and even getting out the Germain over here off of the top deck for Lieslet over here. That's a very, very powerful play. So Germain, I think as I explained earlier, it's just one of those cards that has the ability to create multi-attack right from the get-go, right? It's a Spica in a sense. It just requires no generation break in order to do it. So there's a little bit of a multi-attack play here, depending on how defensive might fly for Chatson over here. But, you know, you could do something like swinging in with the Lieslet, then swinging in with your Germain, boosted by your Recusis, and then bounce the Lieslet back, call something else onto the board, and then swing with that. So we might potentially see a very, very powerful aggro turn here from Yanal.
I mean, it is a very powerful turn, but keep in mind that Germain is not able to activate this turn because most of those cards are restricted with your opponent being grade 3. So if that play was available right now, this could be crazy powerful 4-turn attacks. But luckily for Chatson, it's just going to be free standard attacks coming his way. One thing that I do want to point out is that damage zone. He just hit the one of Ange into the damage, which means Ange as a multi-tech option to write down is offline. That also means that Tyria as a multi-tech rearguard is less likely to be online for the rest of the game. So that's a lot of potential pressure that Chatson doesn't have to deal with right now.
All right. Well, while you might be right there, Eric, I believe one of the things you can do is that at least you're able to bounce a key piece that you might want to use from your hand, potentially to stop any sort of specific bind plays that Chatson might have on his following turn. So, you know, if you really do value something like the Lieslet, then at the very least you could probably bounce something like the Lieslet and just keep it in your hand.
I do like this addition of him being able to get rid of it. I guess they were just asking just now whether or not that was a legal play, since they know a lot of the grade 2 cycle cards tend to have the ability of not being able to use the abilities unless your opponent's a great.
Listen, I was thinking the same. I was in the same mentality though as Yanal. I'm just like, all right, I have this. I can just go willy-nilly. But yeah, there is that little caveat there of needing to be at grade 3, which is important. Of course, it's always important to keep track of things like that. But, you know, like I said, at least having the ability to bounce a key piece, potentially have it be safe in your hand to be used in a later turn is still really powerful.
Cho coming down here, which can be good because that means you can remove one combo piece off the board. So you have less to worry about that multi-tech once you enter in the later stage of the game. But him riding Zuiten is a bit unfortunate because it's not the ideal ride target you want to have as your Vanguard. Like Spark Race Dragon is the name of the game on grade 2 for Narukami here.
That's definitely the case. So right now, this Zuiten usually would get power here. I find it interesting that they use like Cho-O, but like having Cho-O as a restanding rear guard on an exterminate turn, I guess probably like one of the ways they want to try to force the pressure on Bermuda. Since Bermuda doesn't have any ways of removal in their deck other than like returning cards back to your opponent's hand and stuff, I don't see a way of them getting rid of the Cho-O unless they want to attack into it.
I mean, that's an attack they're going to have to waste for it, so that's something that Chetson maybe doesn't mind all too much, especially if like his hand is filled with those multi-tackers, because they have a couple of those key cards that you don't necessarily want to throw down in the early game. And knowing that he's only running 2 copies of Cho-O, that either means he's very comfortable with having one on the field right now, or he's taking a big gamble to just equalize the amount of pressure that the players are facing against each other. Because keep in mind, Yanal is being very aggressive so far.
Yeah, of course. They need to. They're basically on a clock right now, right? You can't let Chatson establish a vote for free on you or like get to utilize some searching for free. So they went through their deck using the ability of Velvet Voice Reindeer soon. But first,
well, soon. I think
first.
Yeah, they're definitely going to probably. I think they're using Betty here first.
Mm-hmm.
Betty actually a really powerful card in itself, right? Having just the ability to look at the top 7 cards of your deck and then being able to essentially grab maybe a key combo piece you need, and then you get to take a card from your hand and then put it back into your deck. So, you know, maybe there's a trigger that you might have drawn that you would like back in your deck. Potentially an over trigger you might have drawn in the early game. If you haven't used it, well, guess what? You could just put it back into your deck via Betty's effect. Very powerful card in its own right.
And I think like Bermuda being one of the unique archetypes of being able to always stow away some triggers for rainy days is just so good. I love archetypes like that. I never used to appreciate something like Bermuda before because of it. But now having played a little bit of Bermuda myself, I'm like, you know what? This is gas. And it's always going to be gas.
Absolutely. All right. So I think Yanal here is just figuring out a attack pattern over here. There's a couple of options depending on what he has in his hand. We did see the Loris grade 4 come through in the early game, I think, through means of having to either G-assist it away or discard it for something like the Aqua cost. So he might just be thinking if he wants to swing in with his Vanguard first and potentially his rear guards afterwards. But no, it looks like he's going to be swinging in with his rear guards first. And then swinging in with his Reindeer, potentially searching for his top 10 for a Vanguard restand play rather than maybe a rearguard restand play. But I'll be excited to see. Reindeer is always funny. It's always a lottery. You never know what you're going to get off of her.
Especially when you're trying to hit into something. So right now, one of the grade 4s is gone. Orange is gone. So what do they have left at the moment? What could they possibly hit right now? What would be good in this situation?
So Riot may not be a bad option, although that does cast a counterblast. I think Olivia, if he could top tech on Olivia, would actually be very strong here. Geraldine possibly might be another one.
You know what's very strong? That double heal coming down from Jetson after the crit from Yanal. So that means he's now sitting comfortably with a 30k Vanguard here while still at 2 damage, which makes Yanal's offensive turn quite difficult here.
Absolutely. It just makes you think, do you really want to try and maybe commit here after a double defensive trigger? That's very, very detrimental here for Yanal.
So resolving the ability here of Reindeer, Willie. Yanal looks at the top.
Oh my goodness, they're all different names. That's crazy.
Wow.
I never expected that.
I mean, I see 2 the same critical triggers there, but I don't count.
Well, I don't think those counted, fortunately, so we're still good. Oh, interesting. Okay, actually, that's not bad. Choosing to go for the Tiroa over here. I saw Olivia there on the top check, so I had the assumption that they were going to go for the reindeer. But no, actually going for the Tiro here is actually not entirely too bad either. Tiro being one of those cards that when placed on the Vanguard circle, you could actually bounce any number of cards back to your hand. And then if you bounce 3 or more, she gets plus 15k. Yes, her restanding effect will be offline. But in this case, that doesn't matter here. I think it's a good play to take all the key pieces that you want from your board, put them back into your hand. That way, less for Chatson to bind on their following crackback turn, and the plus 15k would be enough to jump over the double defensives that Chatson checked.
That's definitely the case. So right now they're currently deciding on how they want to put the force marker here. Argument is possibly if they do want to go Vanguard centric, they probably should give force marker to Van, but that's possibly going to get perfect guarded anyway. So they're going to devote here some resources.
I think is betting on potentially getting a trigger to overcome, because one trigger can make the column hit over unless you can bounce. Oh, you called something on the oh, okay. So now both columns can hit because the right column. Oh, the Suica gives how much power away? Is it a 5k booster right now with extra power?
The Yuika would give 5k power. However, double checking on Yuika's effect, I believe the opponent needs to be at grade 3 or greater.
That's correct.
In order to properly do the effect. So it's only swinging for 28 at the moment with the inclusion of the force marker. But
I mean,
with that heal trigger, it'll be able to potentially jump over it unless there's a defensive coming down for Chatson. I don't see it. He's going to 3 damage here.
So this is
and now we're looking a little more scary here. Do we see a potential 4? No, we see an over trigger come down for Chatson.
It's not what you want to see in this situation. Not at the last attack.
Absolutely. Just a lot of aggression coming down from Yanal, and then your very last damage check is your over trigger. Very, very scary.
This also means that a lot of defensive options from Chatson is just off the table right now. Oh, the OT is out. 2 heal triggers are gone. And those are 2 heal triggers that didn't go to his hands, which means Narukami doesn't have good access to their powerful G cards, which is something Chatson probably wants to look into, especially after an aggression turn like this. And this is just a very first grade free turn for Yanal.
Not even just if we're talking about grade 3 turn, one thing to highlight over here is that using Yuika's effect, he soul blasted out actually the reindeer as his cost to bounce back the Lizolette back to his hand. And because he did that, well, guess what? The reindeer is no longer in the soul for the end of turn effect. So Yanal actually riding down back into his Aqua and then using Aqua's on place ability to bounce back the Yuika. And riding down here, I'm not 100% sure how I would have liked that play. You do know Chatson runs something like Dragonic Vanquisher, so he does have the option to go into something like that.
I do agree with this play, though, due to the fact that I agree with you, and I also agree with what Yanal did, is due to the fact that a History Collection Stride for Vanquisher, the only threatening card could be Esperidia and Cho'o right now. And there's a Cho'o on boards, but he will still need to see an Esperidia later.
Well, let's see if the strategy here of Yanal is going to pay off. We do see the History Collection Stride coming down for Chatson over here. We have the inclusions of getting 2 additional Excel markers, so you're able to draw up your 2 more additional cards, so you're able to potentially get more combo pieces. I'll be excited to see how they're going to respond here.
We also just seen Hunley hit the board, so Hunley is now active for next turn for Yanal. So that means some of the multi-tech options for Yanal is off the table. Now, they do have some options that allow them to not use counterblast as much. So if Yanal just takes a couple of damage here, that Hunley probably won't affect him as much as some other decks that we saw earlier in this tournament. But as JJ pointed out, I don't see, besides the Choho, any other attackers, because the left Axel Circle, I believe, has a Zuiten, and the right Axel Circle has these Unruly Dragon. So these are just 1 attacks each.
And if you happen to have like a Heal Guardian, that could potentially also give him plus, but you already rode into grade 3 this game, so...
Yeah, so the Heal Guardian would be offline. I think in Chatson's scenario, though, it might not be bad. Some small pokes here and there might be all you need to get your opponent over the edge. So we see the Zuiton come down. He's going to be using the ability to draw himself an extra card.
We also see a raid hitting the damage zone, so yet another grade 3 gone for Yanal's option in multi-tag. I mean, this could also be a possibility. If all the powerful grade 3s and grade 4s hit the damage zone in some regard, Yanal cannot really do anything to capitalize off reindeer as besides just striding in general.
Absolutely. It's then that's the sort of scenario you'd have to think if you're in Yanal's position. Does he pivot into another strategy, potentially riding into something like the Tiro, potentially riding into something or striding into the Tiro rather. But it might not even be an option here when we see a critical trigger coming down for Chats and a draw trigger on top of that. What else are we going to get off the third check? Are we going to get anything else? No, but that's still 2 damage coming down for Yanal over here. A very nice pivot.
That's a Pearl Sister hitting the damage zone, so that play is also off the table for now.
Chadson managing to push Yanal down now to 4 damage. It is a make or break situation. I don't know about you guys, but 4 damage at a grade 2 is always uncomfortable to be on.
Especially knowing that 1 PG is out of the game for Yanal, so he has only like 3 instant perfect guards here to potentially have access to them, and the rest are just hard guarding everything.
Also, one very scary option. You're also binding potential targets that Yanal might have put back into his deck via cycling means, putting down, binding the reindeers, binding the Lorises. Those are key combo pieces he might have needed in the later stages of the game. So, very scary.
And massive hand that Chadson has right now, too. Just waiting for next turn.
Absolutely. A very nice pivot turn here for Chadson. I think being able to not only stabilize on something like a crazy reindeer turn, but also be able to have a proper crackback with something such as the Vanquisher and Zora's turn. It just really goes to show the ferocity that can be Narukami.
I think Yanal's probably contemplating if he needs cards in his hand for next turn and maybe going to 5. But I don't know. I feel like going to 5, and if you're not able to win the game next turn, feels very dangerous, even if you have a decent hand, because Narukami can either go into a very powerful turn like multi-tech swing. They can go into a convert and remove all the cards you wanted to save the following turn. So they have a lot of powerful options that could easily win the game if your opponent's at 5. And it looks like...
that's where we're going. And we see an Olivia go down to the damage zone as well. That's another key combo piece out of the deck for Yanal. Oh, my goodness.
I think what Yanal might have been contemplating there was like, how much resources can I do for Helltruda right now? Like, what do I need to commit at the moment to get me a Helltruda turn?
That might be the case. I do know that he has a Justine in his hand via bouncing it through the Tiroa effect. And in this particular scenario, I think Justine is definitely one of those cards you'd want to try and keep as a use to discard and then be able to potentially put it back onto the board via her own effect. But we'll see that if that's the case, because we do see the stride cost coming down, and we do see the Helltruda come down here for Yanal. Helltruda being one of the newer cards that came out from the recent premium collection, and a very powerful card for Bermuda. Just having the ability to essentially restand your Vanguard, bounce key pieces back to your hand, multi-attack on top of multi-attack, and with something in combination with things like Reindeer, being able to create more Vanguard attacks. It'll be exciting to see how it all plays out here.
Exactly. And plus, there's more. It actually bounces the circles, the units that are on the circles. So you can actually play around a whole lot of different archetypes. You can play around Cradle. You can play around locking as well.
Okay, we see Alizala come down. Let's see what the top deck is. I believe looked like a trigger. Now, interesting point is you can use it for the soul, but... might not be a bad option to also just call it down on board, because Helltruda, unlike other cards for Bermuda Triangle, bounces everything back.
I mean, it is the draw critical trigger, so they can call it to board and then attack with Helltruda to put it in soul to have potentially more value as well.
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad call either. I think there'd definitely be more value out of just getting it into the soul and then possibly drawing more combo pieces that you have. We do see the Betty come back down on board. We're going to check our top 7 here and maybe try and grab a potential combo piece, maybe an answer that we might need on Chadson's following crackback turn. I do see a couple of options here that seem interesting. Saria seems really powerful, be able to cycle the deck. A PG potentially, depending on if you want defensive options into your hand. There's a couple of things that we could work with here. And we do see the Saria being chosen here by Yanal. Saria is actually one of those cards that I actually very much enjoy in terms of Bermuda Triangles, just as a whole. Saria is a card that allows you to filter your deck, add cards back to the bottom of your deck, so you're essentially stacking, as well as just being a very powerful beat stick. We're talking about, plus 5k when your opponent's on grade 2, and then plus 10k in the later stages of the game. And those plus 10ks do matter a lot. But we'll see if actually he chooses to call it down. We do see him call down the Saria, okay? Now, what does he choose to discard? He can choose to possibly discard the Justine, but no, it looks like he chose to discard something else and possibly draw into more combo pieces. I think really is trying to fish for some form of defensive options over here. He knows that Chatson's following crackback turn might be potentially lethal for him, so he might try to be looking for some sort of answer here.
Yeah, they have currently no Sandys in hand, so they need to get raw heals to go off. But first, we do need to get rid of that grade 2 on Axel marker.
Yeah, that Unruly Dragon is very scary.
Indeed. Unruly Dragon being a new include in a lot of Narukami Eradicator strategies, being able to get rid of your opponent's problematic archetype cards, that if you intercept with it, you can counterblast one and choose to retire a rear guard that is attacking and stand. A unit that is not stand. A unit that is not attacking. You know what? Words in English. Don't worry about it.
You got it. Don't worry.
I believe it also could remove boosters potentially. So you have options to do a lot to disrupt your opponent.
It's going to use a soul here. Draw a card first, then discard 3. And I think this is where the Justine comes in, possibly.
We'll see if that's the case here. The discarding 3 is a very hefty cost here. Just needing to make sure you at least have the 3 cards in your hand and an additional Stride Father is always kind of rough for Highlander, but because you never want to try and discard defensive options or key combo pieces. So you always want to make sure you have at least something to discard. And Justine's actually just one of those cards that makes it a little more free. And it looks like he did indeed use Justine as one of the discards targets. But we'll see also what he chooses to call here. Okay, so we're calling down back the Saria. Ooh, okay. We are choosing to call down the Sia over here. Sia is actually not that bad here in this particular scenario. So you do have the option to potentially get maybe a key combo piece that you might need to your hand, or call something onto the board. Sia is one of the newer lyrical cards actually to come out, where you look at the top card of your deck, call a card to the open rearguard circle, or put it into your hand. But if you put it into your hand, you discard a card. But I think they went for the first apart to call a unit on board, and I think it's a reindeer actually that they called.
Yeah, I think it's a reindeer as well.
There.
And we're just resolving Saria's effect now as well. And let's see if he remembers to resolve Justine's effect as well. Or maybe not even do Justine's effect. I will say one thing to keep in mind is that Justine does cost a Soul Blast. And if you don't have enough soul to do Justine's effect because you want to use at least the Soul Blast for Heltruda, well, that might actually matter in the long schemes. But we do see a critical trigger come down here for Yanal. Looks like he's going to be putting it onto the side. Third check here is going to be another critical trigger. Oh boy. That's very scary if you're in Chatson's position. That is 3 damage looking at potentially at you if you're putting it onto the side over here.
So which order would you want to do this in? I think you just go triple crit to Van and force him to have a guard. I mean, Unruly will probably take you out, or you can attack with the grade 2 into an Unruly that doesn't have the crit on it and then try to go for triple crit.
Possibly, but then if you do that, you're risking something along the lines of possibly an impede on your opponent's side. It's a very tough call. One thing you could potentially do, maybe just swing in with the reindeer first.
I mean, keep in mind, Huntley is also active during this turn, so we're not attack number 3. So one of the rearguards can attack, and then from the second rearguard swing, we're gonna have to start playing counterblast. So depending on what's coming off reindeer, maybe that multi-attack won't help as much.
All right, going back into that reindeer. We have double reindeer now on the board. We're getting closer and closer to the holidays, so a lot of reindeers abound. Swinging in with the rear guard reindeer here first. Let's see if a PG possibly coming down here for Chatson. We do indeed see the PG, so we managed to dodge the 3 lethal attack.
So now it comes down to what Yendel wants to do. Is he betting on a particular rewrite with reindeer, or just going to try to go for broke as much as possible? Because now we're going to have to start paying counterblast, and we're going to start with this rearguard first. So what are his options left in his deck for reindeer? Because we saw a lot of the very powerful Vanguard rewrites hitting the damage zone. Like we have a Laurel potentially left, and Nesca could potentially come down.
If he still has the Tiroa, I could definitely see a Tiroa as well, having the ability to possibly do a Vanguard restance, because Honolly only checks for the rear guard attacks. It doesn't check for the Vanguard attacks. So if you're in that particular position where you know you're being restricted by something like a Honolly, well, maybe you just want to focus on a restanding Vanguard.
And plus, it does allow him to reset all the guarding units. He gets like 10k shield back to his hand, plus a potential stride fodder, or discard for a perfect guard. Yeah, it's really good.
All right, so the reindeer now coming down here. This is going to be 23k to the Vanguard. We don't. I don't think Chatson has taken any damage here, so he doesn't even have defensive numbers to be working with over here.
Mm-hmm. Especially with the chances he's hit with like the double heal and over trigger. Okay, that's a draw. That's good.
It's not a crit, so that's something Chatson wants to see here.
Exactly. All right.
Second check we're looking at. A heal trigger. Oh, that is huge. Having that cushion to go right back down to 4 damage might potentially matter depending on the crackback turn.
Exactly. I think there's a possibility that also going into the reindeer rewrite, if he ends up hitting like a second heal trigger here, putting them at parity, this can be an open game again.
All right, let's see what the damage check here is. That is an Espral idea coming down for Chatson. Not the best thing you want in your damage zone. That's something you want on your Axel markers, if I'm right.
Definitely. So right now, choosing whether or not they want to discard anything off a reindeer. Trying to check the shield value of cards once hold in the hand. For sure, want to get rid of anything that's like 5k shield, so any grade 2s.
All right, let's play the lottery. Let's see what our options are here. Ladies and gentlemen, is there an option for Yernal here off the top 10? Let's see here.
I see a Nesca. That's the last card.
A Nesca's not bad. Let's see here. I see a Nesca. I potentially see here. Ooh, I see a Geraldine, perhaps. I don't see a Tiroa here. Oh, no, I do see a Tiroa. I see a Tiroa here next to the Geraldine. There are a couple of options here. Looking at it, I personally think the Tiroa might be the best option here, having 2 more additional Vanguard attacks coming down, not having to pay the cost for Honolly. However, a Netska's not that bad either, having the ability to potentially get more Protect markers, Excel markers. And then Geraldine also being able to thin out your deck just a little bit, maybe get a couple more combo attackers. But if you're already using Honolly, I don't think that's the best option here. Ooh.
Did we happen to see it like a Lupina this whole game, or is it in damage?
Lupina is still a mystery. We don't know where it is, the card.
I think I see Lupina, actually. It might be one of the cards there off of the top.
Okay, so they went for Tiroa. Because Lupina being able to restand cards on force markers might have been also an option here.
I like this play, because with the no guard of Chatson, it basically tells you his hand for guarding is very limited right now. And having the extra 15k power on Tyria and to potentially restand twice with Chatson at 4 damage means it's likely he cannot even guard both the attacks coming from the Vanguard right now. And that is basically telling you can win this turn. Or he might have won. He's able to guard 1 attack. But hey, you managed to hit a couple triggers so far. Might as well keep doing it and hit another crit and win the game right then and there.
I think I agree with you, Eric. And it's very telling you put the force marker down onto the Vanguard column. I think that's exactly the strategy. We're just going to be going in here, a large Vanguard attack. We're using Tiroa's effect. We're going to be bouncing all 3 cards back to our board. Gets plus 15k power. This is 23, 33, 48. Looking at it, Chatson says no guard here. Gets 1 drive check. All right, this damage check might matter here for Chatson. What is it? It's a critical trigger.
Oh, it's a draw trigger even. It's a draw trigger.
That's a critical draw, yeah.
That could change a lot here for Jetson. That one card.
It's going to discard here. Going to go for a restand. Does he have enough? Can he stave off this onslaught of attacks?
It's 48k to 23 with only one drive, with no drive check, by the way, because Hero does give drive -1. So this is just a one big swing.
It's a perfect. Oh, now I wonder, did he drew into that perfect card?
If he did, that was a huge draw then, if that was the case. He manages to stave off Yanal's killing blow here, surviving at 5 damage. Chatson here stabilizing. Oh my goodness. Going back into the reindeer here from Yanal, putting it back onto the Vanguard, just potentially if for what might be Yanal's crackback turn. We'll see if it's enough. Chatson, going back here to Chatson, what are the options here for you?
It looks like he's riding into a sweep command, so he's probably going to try to maximize the pressure here. It's a bit awkward because the bind zone isn't good enough to make a very powerful stun first turn. You're going to rip like one card out of the opponent's hand. That's not good enough, especially knowing that Yanal has 2 critical triggers, has a PG, has a G guard, and a bunch of other powerful defensive cards. It's hard to punch through. Like, that second drive check that revealed a PG and a heal, I think that was like the tempo swing that Yanal needed to comfortably take Chatson's turn and go for the kill turn next turn. And it looks like he's gonna for an exterminate here.
So, but still, that Cho that's been sitting there from the dawn of time is still gonna be putting in a little bit of work this turn with Esperidia as backup. Does he find another Esperidia? Does he get another Trovo? Or is it just going to be this? All right, we do have 5 chances at this.
Like that Nisku can find a Cho, but it looks like it's a Spark Rain.
Going to be adding it to hand. Going to be shuffling. Both decks looking kind of lean right now. Overtrigger has not been yet seen for Yanal. He does have 1 damage that he can take, but these attacks are going to be coming in for +20.
I think this is turn for Chatson where you just want to throw down everything and just try to win, because I don't feel like you can survive a follow-up turn from Yanal, especially with 3 force markers on the Vanguard.
And he also ended up realizing the Honolulu is not going to do that much here.
Yeah.
So he got rid of that out of hand. Yeah, this is the make or break moment.
We're looking at how many attacks here from Chatson. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 potential attacks here.
An 8 with all potentially +20k to everything.
Yeah. Do you guys agree with the sentiment of just eating the first damage and seeing if you get a defensive or not?
I feel like that's you can comfortably take the first Vanguard swing, or maybe if he's probably going to attack with the Vanguard first.
I mean, it depends on the number that's being swung in, right? I mean, obviously, if it's a 13k or something on the lower ends, I am comfortable with taking a lower number as opposed to potentially maybe taking a higher number on another attack.
No, but all of them get +20 anyway, so all of them aren't just
right. In that hypothetical scenario, yes. I mean, in that scenario, I'm saying in my hypothetical scenario.
If he's not swinging with the Vanguard, I would take the first attack regardless, because it doesn't change anything if I hit the trigger or not.
Mm-hmm. It could be depending on the order of swinging, I guess.
Yeah, I probably would take this damage, this one.
But this one draws him the card.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. But to be fair, that 1 extra card, I feel like for Yanal doesn't change the fact that if he could win next turn, that's 1 extra card. Because Chatson threw down his entire hand almost. So with I think Yanal could easily punch through a hand of 8 cards next turn with all those force markers and the multi-attack he can generate.
All right, let's see what Yanal has cooking up in his hand now. So what defensive options that he could possibly have that we haven't seen yet?
EOT?
No. I mean, there's Elementaria still.
Oh, true.
Accents.
If he has the Recusa still in his hand, that might be a potential way to stave off all of these attacks, because you could possibly check a defensive option here, then do something like a Citron to call down the Recusis, and the Recusis will give your Vanguard an additional +10k. So that might be one option for Yanal over here, but we'll see if that even is enough. Just staring down so many attacks, all +20k, is very scary.
The Recuse actually got trimmed out by the Choa earlier in the game.
Oh no! So that's not even a defensive option here for Yanal. I think the defensive trigger here might matter a lot.
So he hard guarded with 2 cards. It looked like with 20k shield.
It's going to coming in for 38. It's going to be a little bit more than 2 cards to guard, unless he wants to go double 15.
I mean, that's not a defensive, so that's something that wants to see.
That is, that is a Frederica. You did not want to see that. You wanted to see something a little more defensive for you. And now Chatsinen's in a very powerful position here, and it's looking a little more awkward here for Yanal. Your grip is looking a little more scary. You want to make sure you have to stave off these attacks, but the question is, can you even do that?
So it's going to be going in for 33. Here's a G-Guard.
All right, what are we doing here? We have a couple options. Okay, I do see a Citron coming down. Oh, one thing you could potentially do, maybe, if he has the Betty in his hand, he could use Citron's effect to call down the Betty and maybe fetch a defensive option. No, it looks like we're going to do the Sia instead. We're going to resolve Sia's effect. We're going to Soul Blast 1, try and fish for an answer here.
The Sineska, I don't think that does anything here.
Yeah, but that's really good still, because it's it's not the 6th damage, so there's a possibility of him also being able to heal then.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
Just filtering your deck, trying to find an answer here. Maybe potentially damage checking. I actually don't know how many heals are out of Yanal's deck, so it'd be hard to even see if he even has the option to check a miracle heal here.
I think I've only remember seeing 1.
Yeah, I believe the one that he triggered last time and that he just used G-Guard is the only one we've seen so far. Maybe he hard drew in a couple, but that's something we haven't seen yet being played.
And if he did, I think he would be able to more than have enough to survive this turn then, if that was the case. Because it'd be like 1 PG double G-Guard, I think. And that's fine.
I think he has 2 PGs in his hand, because this is one, and I saw one more to the left of the card group that he has. So 2 PGs, that gives him a lot of options here.
All right, triple drive there. This drive check might matter. We see a Forbidal.
That's a heal. I mean, that gives him what option next turn if he cannot close the game. But is that something you want to bet on? And
is that another heal?
That is another heal trigger indeed. So Yanal from this position will still be on the back foot, because being able to double impede him might be the plan that might be happening in this following turn.
All right, I believe we're a couple of power resolutions are just being applied here. Very powerful tool, as you stated earlier, JJ, having the option just in case on the crackback that Yanal manages to live, having that safety cushion of a double impede dragon seems very powerful.
So one is 48, one is 38, the other one is big. Just big.
It's just big.
I think it's like 52 or something. That's I think I saw another heal trigger, possibly.
Like the Unruly Dragon is 13 plus 30 is like 43. This is for the Expiry Day is 38, just like the first attack. And the Choho is for 49.
All right, Yanal here just mapping out his. I think Yanal here is just mapping out his hand here, how he wants to try and properly guard it if he can. You want to try and be absolutely careful here in these types of scenarios, right? You want to try and guard as much as you possibly can, and he's just trying to map it out here to see if it's enough. But looking down the barrel of it, double trigger plus 20k to the front board on restanding. It's scary. We'll see if it's enough.
Here we go.
But you guys had used the Citron a bit earlier, so you could deny the Cho restand, because he didn't do that here.
Oh, because the Cho didn't attack. You are correct. I mean, it's like 1 less attack, though.
Yeah. I mean, that's one less. That changes a lot here. Because look at the hand.
Did Chatson even attack with a Cho before, or yeah?
I don't think he did. I think Yanal denied him here, like for which can be the game change here, because if we look at the hand size,
this might matter. This might matter. Oh my goodness. Okay, If this is enough to get over this one, if the Lucretius here is enough to get over this one attack, I believe Yanal does have one perfect guard in his hand.
So it looks like this is going to be enough.
Because the Lucretius will give him plus 15k. It's going to be plus 15. It's going to be 43k. Guards with the 5k. That's going to be 48.
That's just a 1343. I feel like that's just that's just enough. It's 48 because it's a 43 attack.
Yeah.
And then has the perfect guard to survive the turn. I think they're just making sure they're double checking power resolutions.
Oh my god, this is wild. He survived all this.
I think he might have survived.
Absolutely kooky.
If he has the PG in his hand, he survives.
He should have another
PG. Do you have that PG?
Boom.
He does! He does!
One thing to keep in mind, though, Jetson does have the double impede, but is that enough to say?
No, it's not.
Is
it's
that
not
enough? When you're staring down a triple force marker reindeer, is that enough? Yanal managing to survive by the skin of his teeth. Now on the crackback turn, you're staring down 5 to 4 damage here. We also still haven't seen the overtrigger come out as well.
Let's see.
Oh, this is intense. Holy moly.
So many in that situation that Yanal was in probably might have buckled mentally under the pressure and would have probably gone for a 6 damage heal potentially.
Like, the Citron play was right on time to deny that show, because if they didn't do that in time, that was a 1 attack, and that would have been exactly enough for Jetson to win this game.
Definitely. And it's also a heads up from Jadson of also possibly might have been a heads up play for him, but it could have been detrimental for him not to attack with the Cho-O too first. But I think it begs the question, like, do you then attack first despite the situation of Citron, or do you like leave it up because you have a giant booster?
Hard to say honestly. It's awkward because you don't want to waste the power, because if are you going to boost on the first attack and just gamble it or not? It's like what line of play you're going to take, because you also don't want to use the biggest number for your first attack, of course. So it's tough. Like, there's an argument to say to check with the Cho and see if he sees the line of play, or try to maximize the value of just attacking with your biggest number last.
So here, trying to choose whether or not to attack with a crit trigger or a Nesca here for 24 or for 14. I feel like we go 24 first, right?
You do have to keep in mind that Unruly Dragon is still on the board as well. So you do have to take into account what
like 4 damage.
Yeah. All of these attacks matter here. You're staring down the barrel. Chatson also has those 2 heals in your hand. So potentially knocking down multi-attackers here, it could matter.
So it's probably going to look at the triple intercept maybe here, because it's hovering on those cards. It's not really coming down.
Gonna blast to get rid of the crit trigger. It feels a little bit awkward having to get rid of a critical trigger here, but then at least it's off the board.
Yep, triple intercept.
27.
I feel like Jetson might survive this because he's at 4 damage.
He is at 4 damage, but you're also looking down a 23-33, a 43k reindeer swinging in. Only 2 heals in your hand that you might want to use for your potential multi-attack swingers. It is scary. The question is where and when you want to use these defensive options, I guess. We're just contemplating here now. We're taking a look at the G zone here, seeing, all right, what type of defensive options do I have here? Do I go for my impede now? Do I go for something maybe like a bulwark dragon? Do I go for potentially something else? Maybe I'm trying to use the counteract dragon instead to get more power, more shield value for this Vanguard attack. Oh, it's a tough call.
Because you would have got plus 30 here, and that would make you 47. So 1 to pass.
47 is 1 to pass.
Do you just risk it here? Do you just take it? hoping that they don't get any crits on this possible attack, and then seeing what they get off the reindeer swing.
Don't forget, we have not seen the Overtrigger yet.
Oh, that is true. The Overtrigger still might potentially be in the deck.
I think there's like 10 cards left in deck, maybe.
It looks like she's going to G-Guard here.
All right, what's the option here? Do we see the Counteract come down? We see the Impede come down.
So he's going to remove the Inesca off the board. But this is not enough, so he has to double G-Guard here. I don't know.
We're double G-Guarding here. Interesting. Okay.
I don't know if I agree with this play, because he has two very powerful hits for Yanal. He can ride into a Laura, or he can ride into a Jerline. Those are cards that build a board. I feel like you would get more advantage if you G-Guard after that. Okay, so we have another heal as well here.
We do have Lupina.
Lupina's being dry check here, so he cannot go into Lupina. But Lupina doesn't really do as much. It would have been better for Chatson if he saw a Laurel in the dry check. All
right, let's roll the dice, ladies and gentlemen. What do we get?
It looks like
we see the Tiroa, but I don't think he has enough to get the restand play for Tiroa. Tiroa needs at least 3 in order to restand.
It's just a big attack.
There's 3. You can bounce his opponent's rear guards, right? So you could just bounce the 3 from his opponents, or do you need to from yourself?
No, it could be anybody's, but the problem is I only see 2 rear guards on Chatson's side of the board.
Just has a booster. He has a booster on this.
He does! He does have the booster! He could choose to do that. He could choose to potentially bounce everything at Chatson's board to get the restand play of. Ooh, but that seems a little risky. Ooh, would you go for it? Would you go for it? You know, that is the question here.
I would personally go for it because there's only 20k shield on the board right now. That's not enough to negate those 4 force markers underneath the Tyria. But looks like
choosing not to. He's not doing it. No guard and a critical trigger instead coming down.
No.
First check, second check, and that's game.
And that's it. And that is it. And Yanal takes it over Chatson. Wow. Holy moly, what a game. I mean, okay, to bring it back just a little bit, all right? We did see off the top checks from the reindeer, right? The deck was compressed. We did see a lot of triggers here, a lot of triggers to be hit. But just, you know, it's always just so exciting and always nerve-wracking to add 4 damage to check that one critical trigger that you need to deal the lethal blow. What a game. Holy moly.
There was 1 crit.
Yeah, 1 crit.
There was 1 crit?
1 crit, 1 draw, a heal maybe, and OT.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Only here at Top 8 will you see these types of games, ladies and gentlemen. You'll love to see it.
Like,
because he drew a crit for turn.
Yeah, like the odds of what happening was kind of insane. Like personally, I am a balls kind of player that likes to take gambles a lot. I would just have said, you know what, here's your first reindeer. I'm just a no guard and see what the odds are. And I think if he did that, he might have won. But you know, you don't know. Like you don't know with these things. Like it's you need to take a gamble, and sometimes they pay off, and sometimes they sadly do not pay off. And then in other times, you're as perplexed as JJ right now about the odds.
I will say I definitely did agree with you in that one sense, guys, where he rode into the Tirua via the reindeer effect and had the option to bounce his opponent's rear guards back. Just getting able to get that 1 additional Vanguard swing in. Because you did know at that point of the stage in the game, they only had the defensive options of only having those 2 heals in their hand. And so just being able to bounce those 3 rear guards and just being a large Vanguard swing just would have been enough to take it over the edge.
Also, you know his opponent has no out anymore. All 4 heals were gone. The overtrigger was gone. There was nothing for the Narukami player to win the game anymore at this point. But I feel like, and this is just a hypothesis, I think he forgot that the Tyria also can bounce opponent's units, because I feel like most Bermuda players do not really do that as much. So might be in the heat of the moment that he's like, oh, I have no rear guards, just swing. Like, you can see it, let's go.
There's also a third option. Third option also might be that Elementaria or Perfect Guard might have been in hand.
Hmm.
And bouncing any of the 3 cards would have possibly given a bit of shield value. That being said, whether or not it's worth it, still
To be
up in the
determined.
air.
Yeah, still up in the air.
Still up in the air, because like what could have happened? A worst case scenario, say for example, hits the defensive crit, right? Draws a card extra, and that extra card that he drew might have been another PG or PG fodder potentially. So then potentially could have like been able to guard against the last 2 attacks that might have swung in. So that's the hazard. So you know what? Good on Union all. You
yeah, you won. You won. You did amazing. And
kudos to Chatson as well. Very well played, if I do say so myself. You know, just contemplating on a couple of defensive options there, and even in the earlier stages of the game, right? Just being able to circumvent those onslaught of attacks that were coming down from Yunal, and then stabilizing, and then being able to go into something like their exterminate, and then just have the Cho-Oh on board with the Esper idea. That's not to say Yunal was not staring down a very scary board of multi-attacks. So honestly, good on both of them. Both of them played extremely well, and it just shows a contention of why both of these players are at top 8 here today.
I also want to bring it back to the beginning of the game, because I know it's been a long game, but don't forget, this was the same game where Yunal had to G-assist, and he still managed to clutch it in the end. Like, as we said, a G-assist at turn 1 doesn't dictate the outcome of the game, because you can navigate the game well, you can end up eventually winning it at the end of it.
That's true. So a little bit of background news to let you guys know as well. The matchup between Entropy and Darren and Aries and Mana. Entropy from Canada ended up taking that game. So we're going to be seeing him in the top 4. And then we also have Aries versus Mana. And then Mana ended up taking that one. So Mana will be making it in.
Awesome. I believe Entropy is playing Mega Conley, if I remember correctly. So I'm very curious how that's going to go. So yeah, I cannot wait to go into the next match for top 4 once everything is finished, because more spectacles are bound to happen for the upcoming rounds.
Exactly. It's going to be against Mana from the Philippines. So I'm really excited to see that one as well. Congratulations to everybody. We're going to be taking a quick, short break, and then we'll be coming back into the top 4. See you guys real soon.
Top 4. Let's do it. See you soon.
Yeah.
Weiss Schwarz. Witness the strongest band together on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Ari Fureta, from Commonplace to World's Strongest. Trial Deck and Booster Pack. On sale November 17th. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard! What's that? It's a grade 11? Can Team Wildress create a new future? Booster Pack, Flight of Chakrabarthi. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard. I sever and manifest causality. Boldly cast to the side this feeble, unstable world. Booster Pack, Evenfall Onslaught. Bushiroad.
The flame of Leviathan rises, and new heroes must answer its roar. Will you join the adventure? Booster Set 3, Flame of Leviathan, coming soon.
Cardfight Vanguard! Encounters with heroes! Stories that will shape your soul are waiting for you! Booster Pack, Clash of the Heroes! Bushiroad!
world with magic and science, parallel universe bathed in crimson, a magical high school, a virtual reality MMORPG world. It's time to take a trip down memory lane with Dengeki Bunko. Nostalgic titles like A Certain Magical Index, Shakugan no Shana, The Irregular at Magic High School, Sword Art Online, and many more are making a comeback with new illustrations. With 51 titles included in the set, there's definitely something for everyone. For our Bang Dream fans, Trial Deck Plus Bang Dream My Goal will also be performing on a Weiss Schwarz stage near you. The set features new illustrations that fans will want to add to their existing collections. Let's count down to the party! Premium Booster Bang Dream Girls Band Party Countdown Collection will also be performing on a stage to celebrate their 6th anniversary with glittering illustrations of your favorite Bang Dream girls. Don't miss out on this chance to update your collection with these new cards. From one idol to the next. You hear those cheers for an encore? We're happy to announce that Bochi and her friends will be bringing their performance to the stage of Weiss Schwarz as well. We'd love to have them now, but it's gonna take a while to convince Bochi to come out of her room, so we'll let you know once we manage to do so. One can never have enough idols performing, but heroines need a stage too. The heroines from Sai Kano will be making their comeback on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. The series may have reached its finale a few years back with the movie installment, but no matter who you root for, this is your chance to create a different ending for your favorite girl. Did you catch my clue at the start of this segment? We're returning to the world of Remnant in Premium Booster Ruby. Join Team Ruby and their newfound allies as they protect their world from the Grim. Intern-kun has shown me some tweets and I'm really impressed with your collections, and I look forward to seeing your updated collections once this set launches next year. That's quite a lot to take in. In case you missed it, here's a summary of what we've announced so far. Trick or treat! Welcome to the Bushiroad English Conference Autumn 2023. With Halloween right around the corner, our pumpkin spice lattes seem to have been replaced by carved pumpkins. Ready your hearts and your wallets, you're in for a fright. Now that we're halfway through the Bushiroad Championship Series 2023 season, if you've been living under a pumpkin, the World Finals will take place on February 3rd, 2024 at Akihabara UDX. That's right, we're heading back to Tokyo, Japan. I can't wait to see all of you again and crown some new world champions.
And hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bushiroad Rumble Online 2023 Premium Edition of the European format. I am here. I am fuzzy. I am ready. We're at top 4 going on. I've got my co-casters here. I've got JJ. I've got Eric. How we doing after that game, guys?
1. might have been more, but it felt like I saw just 1. Oh my gosh.
I mean, to be honest, I saw more than 1 the entire game. Let's be honest.
Very nice back and forth from both players. And still, of course, more to come. And let's, speaking of more to come, let's actually take a look at our updated brackets to see what we might be expecting here, shall we?
So here we have the new top 4 lists for BRO Rumble 2023 Premium Edition. The top 4 players that are now competing for the prizes are Entropy, Mena, and Sage 4. Now, we already saw a couple of players in the brackets yesterday and with the previous match so far with Janal taking on the victory against Narukami. But we're going to do a back-to-back watch because for top 4 match, we're going to take a look at Janal once again, but this time taking it up against Sage 1804, better known as Sage, our lovely Sage that make things sometimes difficult for us. But man, we're going to see some amazing stuff here because if we go to the decks, we see, of course, Janal's one with the Bermuda Highlander deck that we have. Do we want to highlight anything anymore, guys, or did we say everything in the previous showcase?
I feel like we probably could just kind of talk about like what Highlander is supposed to be in general. Could you teach us that then, John? Like explain it to us, the common folk. What is Highlander exactly?
It is, I ride reindeer, I try to do as much as I can off reindeer, and I use my one-ofs to either A, multi-attack, B, ride down, or C, just try to fish for a defensive option.
Concise and clear. Then let's go over to our G zone that helps us supplement that winning strategy.
I think the most important cards here, of course, are like the two highlights are the Held Through the Stride, because if I'm going to be honest, as a Gear Chronicle player, this feels like a next stage on steroids to some extent. But the other mainstays are these G guards. We saw them in the last match being pivotal because Citron, I think the Citron play gave the game, allowed Yanal to win the game, because denying the Choho the restand, that's one extra attack, and surviving with 0 cards in hand while on 5 damage. That tells you a lot. So I feel like these cards are definitely coming into play. There are a couple of other strides that are useful, like the Teria's Recent Stride. We have the, I believe the Anj is also a thing. If you go up against Link, Joker could be a tech card. So they have some powerful units, but I feel like the G-Guards and Held True are like their main go-to for this G-Zone.
But of course, this is just the one Bermuda deck that we have to showcase for y'all today. If that's a premonition of anything, let's take a look at what Yanal will be facing here in this top 4 game.
It's here. It's here, everyone. We were trying to fight it. Trust, we were holding the doors for you guys. What is here? Fuzzy, what is this?
So this is an interesting deck, to say the least. So in a normal sense, it is a alternative win condition deck. We are going to be focusing on using a couple of key combo pieces here for Bermuda Triangle. We are going to be trying to use things such as the Crystal Pop Eve to be able to look at the top card of our deck at any time and superior call any card. And it's not once per turn, mind you. And we're also using things as a combination of things like Sistico, to be able to filter cards back to deck, Weddle to be able to bounce cards back to our deck to keep our open rearguard circles. But the main bread and butter is you're trying to compress your deck as fast and as thin as you possibly can to be able to use a card called Murtoa. And then we're going to be able to use Murtoa to attempt to draw out our opponent's deck.
That's a... I'm going to be honest, the first time that I saw this whole combination of cards, I'm like, okay, what are people trying to do? I do not see the line of play. And then I saw this card in action, I'm like, oh no. So yeah, for anybody that isn't aware it was like in the dark as me, don't worry. We're probably going to see it in action very soon, and then you understand how insanely powerful this combination of cards are. And there are multiple ways that you can even play this. This is one variation of that. There are also another couple of things. So who knows that we might see those. But I feel like we can go over and over about the Bermuda Triangle because there's so many generic staple cards and options. But I feel like the best way to see these cards are just on the battlefield themselves. So what do you guys say? Let's jump into the games? Or should we go over the G-Zone of this deck very quickly before we head in those? Because I don't know. Is a G-Zone for this deck mandatory? Is it needed?
You sometimes go into it. Sometimes. You know, it's kind of cute to look at.
Harmonix Messiah is a card, and that's all I'll say.
You know, you get to free up your circles. That's kind of cute, you know.
I mean, fair. Like there are the generic cards, they might come up, but I feel like this is one of those decks that you mainly playing in the Harmonix because Harmonix is Harmonix, but the rest of the cards are like maybe psyching your opponent out. You're playing a deck that really does use the G-Zone. But you know what? I think the best way to see if I'm true or not is just to see how Sage plays and if the G-Zone is actually going to be touched or not.
All right, ladies and fellas, men, this is the semis. This is your top 4. Sage from the UK versus Yanal from the US of A. Bermuda mirror. Not exactly the best mirror you're going to be looking for, but it is a mirror nonetheless.
Absolutely. Now, in your honest opinion, guys, I just want to kind of pick your brains here while we're getting some of the opening plays here. If you're in Yanal's position right now, you're looking at Sage's deck, you might be familiar with their strategy. What do you think is the way to combat it?
Don't draw as often.
just don't draw. It's sweet and simple. I like it.
No, I mean, no. In all seriousness, the deck, it's either you're drawing towards a specific like alternate win conditions. So if you're trying to only just find your reindeers, I think that's fine. Like if you're only just using it to make sure to keep cards back in the deck and just utilize that. And I feel like going into the G-Zone Tito up by sending back some cards could help a little bit.
Yeah, that's the unique aspect of this mirror match is that Yanal has options to put cards back into the deck. So maybe they're able to stifle off some of those forceful draws if Stage is not able to go full combo. But it depends on what Sage is able to open up in his first coming turns here. We do see one of the Murtos being ridden, so I feel like that's a good sign for Yanal that at least that forces Sage to have another copy access in order to do everything. But it's hard to say in these earlier turns here.
Definitely. I feel like one possible scenario you could try is possibly just putting down a whole bunch of rear guards on your board, and oh my goodness! Actually, wait, hold the phone. Hold the phone. Is that a double? That is a double Pearl Sister. That is a double Pearl Sister on turn 2. Holy moly!
I think Yanal is built different. This is strong. this is super strong, and also
plus the creases on top of that. Oh my lord!
I think this could be a big turn here because that power stays. So Sage doesn't have a good way to remove those cards.
Attacking into him is a big plan. I think that's probably the only strategy he has right now.
I mean,
but even then, the Pearl Sisters have a continuous ability where if both of them are on the board, both of them just are big continuously on your and your opponent's turn.
So they're like 30 and like 28k or something. So even if Sage swings in with a boosted Vanguard, he needs a trigger to potentially hit one, and Yanal can just block a bit and say no, just nope.
Wow, this is extremely wild. So Healer Guardians reduced the 2 crit here. Does he have another one? Let's see what Sage is gonna do. He can use Guardian Shield here.
That should
Plus
be
20.
enough.
That is enough.
But he has to deal with it next turn as well. And he already used 1 G-Guard and the shield ticket. That shield ticket would not be here next turn to hopefully protect his head. So I feel like in this matchup, this is like the perfect setup for Yanal to see your opening hands be able to do this.
If Yanal could potentially go into something like a Lupina as well, having the ability to restand those Pearl Sisters, just keep that sort of aggression going, right? I think that would be the ideal scenario here.
Especially since he does have access to 1 Counter Blast. Oh my gosh. This can be super scary.
All right. Looks like was a simple swing to the rear guard here. But of course, you know, both Pearl Sisters being on board, that continuous power up is applied on both your and your opponent's turn. So didn't necessarily matter in that case where it was being swung at, but still very nice to have some sort of power confirmation there. All right, so it looks like we're putting the force marker down from onto the reindeer column. Interesting. I would think, personally speaking, right, you would want to try and put it on like the Pearl Sisters to maybe create larger numbers where your things have confirmed crits on. But putting it down on the Vanguard circle might be interesting here.
I agree with you, John. I definitely do. Go ahead.
I feel like maybe one of the reasons why you now put in the force mark on the Vanguard is because there's like, of course, the increased chance of hitting crits, but also the fact that Sage is at 1 damage. So the Pearl Sisters will only be able to push him to 5, not to 6 instantly. So maybe he put the force mark on the Vanguard, so Sage will take 1 of the damage of the Vanguard because it's too big to come fully guard, and then puts him at 2, and then 2 is an annoying number to deal with double crit rear guards. So maybe that's the line of play that Yanal was thinking of.
And I guess after the fact, they could probably still give force markers to the Vanguards after the rides are done.
Either way, we'll see what how Yanal is going to be trying to take his turn here. One thing to keep in mind too is that, you know, the overall strategy of something like these types of milling decks is you want to try and keep your opponent at almost no to little damage, right? You want to try and restrict as much resources as you possibly can to be able to circumvent you being able to try and fish for key combo pieces that you might need in order to live. And oh my goodness, it's actually might not even be the case. It's pushing Sage all the way down to 4 damage. He does manage to check a defensive crit here, defensive heal here. So we'll see if that is enough. Oh my goodness, this is a very very scary turn here coming from Yanal.
So let's see, with Reindeer going in here for 26. Sage contemplating, because I mean he still runs crits. He needs to guard for this. So that's a draw trigger. It's going to be making it 30. Is that a 1? That's not 1 to pass.
No, and that's a crit. Is that a 1 to pass?
That is not 1 to pass.
It's not 1 to pass. I believe we saw 2. I think we saw 2 defensive. Yeah, we saw 2 defensive come down.
Okay. I was scared.
Yeah, that was very scary.
However, if Yanal does have a way to restand those Pearl Sisters, this actually could be still very scary nonetheless. Lupina would probably be ideal here if we manage to fish it off the top 10, but we're going to roll that lottery slot. We're going to see what we're going to get over here. What do we get? What type of answer do we have here, you know?
All right.
Nesca, that's an option.
Ooh.
It's Olivia.
I don't think I see anything, actually.
No, he has Olivia.
Oh, is it Olivia? He has Olivia. Oh, Olivia's interesting here.
Yeah, it resets the rear guards and it gives the Vanguard the crit.
Olivia's huge here.
Oh, and they also gets a crit here plus 10k power. Additionally, this is nutty.
Absolutely. All right, so let's review this card for all the folks at home. So this is the grade 4 Olivia. This is School Étoile Olivia. Its ability is when it attacks a Vanguard, choose up to 5 of your rear guards and stand. And if all the chosen rear guards have different card names, you stand all of them. And if 3 or more rear guards were stood by this effect, it gets +1 crit. Oh my goodness! And you could put the force marker onto the other Pearl Sisters, so they both have the plus 10Ks. Oh my lord! This could actually be potentially lethal here if you're looking at Sage's board here.
I feel like this might be game, yeah, because he had lost, I believe, 2 PGs. There are 2 heals gone as well. Maybe an OT could make a difference here, but I don't feel like Sage has enough shield value to deal with everything here. Because every attack is lethal. Everything will swing with 2 critical here.
Well, the only thing that's not going to be swinging with 2 critical is the Vanguard. So if anything, I think this would be the most comfortable attack to take, which looks like to be the case.
The Vanguard has crit.
The Vanguard will get a crit because you restand free unit.
Ah, that's true. But then it looked like it wasn't enough, actually, because it was a double defensive option. It was a double defensive that the Sage got here.
True, the Olivia's 24 on her own. So maybe Sage might be able to get away with thanks to those double defensive, because it does mean he's at the 30k Vanguard base.
All right, Sage, how do you guard this? You're staring on the barrel of 2 very mean-looking Pearl Sisters. Do you have enough defensive options to be able to circumvent it? It looks like he's going for the damage, and he does not! And just like that, we go. It's it. That's over.
Wait, doesn't he have like a draw trigger, PG? Come on.
I don't think he did. I think most of his cards are like unguardable cards, like grade 4s or grade 3s.
I think we're just confirming something over here, but yeah. I guess all you need at the end of the day is just is double Pearl Sister. Wow, oh wow. Listen, if that's one thing of anything to say, is that if you're staring down something that might be potentially lethal, as soon as they ride to grade 3, or as soon as they ride to grade 4, just don't give them that option. Just slap down a double Pearl Sister and call it a day.
All right, I'll keep that in mind when I'm playing Lawkeeper. Just put in 2 Pearl Sisters. Yeah, I got
Listen, just play your Kagero deck and add in 2 Pearl Sisters. That's all you need, okay?
Don't say anything, just play them down. And if you
don't ask your opponent questions, don't make sure your opponent doesn't ask questions, just call it as it is. Wow, oh wow. Very scary.
I swear they could guard there.
I feel like Sage might see, okay, maybe I can survive this turn, but I cannot win the game anymore because he is playing the grade 4 variant of the deck. So he needs to survive that grade 3 turn as well, because there's going to be another double Pearl turn after that. How are you going to block against that without the double defensive? Like,
oh, and there's also into Helltruda as well.
Yeah. So I feel like Sage saw the writing on the wall. Like the chance of him coming back from that, it was just so small.
That's tough. Wow, okay. Well, never mind, I guess. I was scared for nothing.
No, JJ.
I was ready. I had the spreadsheet. I was going to break down the combos play by play. But then Yanal comes in. Yanal comes in and says, "No, it's okay. We got you. Here's double Pearl Sister.
I
no
think,
problem."
JJ, you were scared for the wrong thing. We are supposed to scared of a turn to double Pearl Sister. Like that's a scary thought if you have no removal.
That is fair. And no way to get rid of them. Yeah, they just stick to the board and you just like, I guess I'm too used to playing archetypes that have removal in it.
Kagero is not worried about it.
I think, right. Big dragon brain just see scary thing in it just burns. But yeah.
Pitch heal, call chicken, counterblast 1, repeat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm too coddled in that. Wow. Okay, so now that we happen to have enough time to talk about that, how do you guys feel about the upcoming supports that we've been getting? Not upcoming, but like the current line of support, the generic cards that we've been getting, like Forward All Surrogate, the new over triggers that we've gotten in Volnote and Ida's Faro, or the Evergain transfer. How have you been feeling about those cards being a very welcome addition to Premium?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, and I feel like this is a sentiment for a lot of players. Four-Wheel Surrogate is one of my favorite cards they ever made. Like, it's such a great card for how generically useful it is, and it can help so many different archetypes. Great free strategies, great force strategies, a combination of the two. It's premium usable. It is good for standard. Like, that's literally a card that defines an era at this stage, and I love it. Like, I hope they're gonna make more cards like that feel like, oh, it's very obvious they were deciding to support Great Force, to search them, and maybe work with great free strategies, but then the player base turns it opposite head and makes all kinds of wild strategies with those cards. And I love to see more of those cards.
Absolutely. I think Forbidal is definitely a top favorite when it comes to, just in my opinion, too, when it comes to the premium space as a whole. Just having that utility to just be able to do so much with just one generic order card. And I really hope there's more exploration in that sort of department, too. That's not to say, you know, I'm also not excited about other stuff as well. You know, when it comes to stuff like the new lyrical set that we're about to be coming, that's coming out soon. We have also Divine Chakrabarti that's going to be coming out, too. I'm excited to see how more of the generic nation cards are being implemented into the clan system as well.
And especially like in Overdress right now, we're seeing more of a trend where we've been screaming to the heavens and praying onto our Lord and Savior Kadani to please give us more defensive options. And he's heard it. It's because we've had a lot more editions of the Ride Line Grade 1s or Ride Line assistants to the Grade 1s in our to the Grade 1s in that archetype. So hopefully we see a trend of that going into the Grade 2s, Grade 3s, that interact a little bit more with the Ride Line strategies, and maybe not just Ride Line, but like maybe generic Grade 1s or Grade 2s that are specific for an archetype that say, hey, if you send 2 of me back into deck, you get 15k shield or something. I'd like that. That'd be really nice. How do you guys feel about that?
I 100% agree. Like, it changes the way how you interact with your right deck. Like, I like the idea when they introduced like the Dragon Tree, not necessarily the execution, but the idea behind it. Like, I like that concept of interacting with your right deck or changing it a little bit. And the cat, or at least some of the clans have that card that you explained, is a cat form of some sort. Like, that changes the dynamic how you interact with the right deck. And we had seen glimpses of this in the past, like with, I believe, the Jeweled or the Greed on right line that suddenly reveals cards from your right line to do stuff. Like, I hope they're going to do more of those things to make the right deck more than just, oh, it's just a pile of 4 cards you're going to write into. No, it becomes like a resource or something you interact with a bit more.
Well, personally speaking, I'm actually like a huge fan of the blitz orders that we've been getting as of late. I think I preluded to Eric earlier yesterday, but there's this one card, Defensing Roar, that I absolutely love. Not in just the standard sense, actually, in a premium sense as well. Just having that ability to be able to cycle back key defensive options that you might need, or, you know, in even a premium space too, you know, using something like Defensing Roar, guarding with a Grade 3, getting an additional 10k shield, and then bouncing it back and using it as a stride fodder or a ride target for the following turn. It's little interactions like that I'm seeing that are being developed more and more that I hope continues to be explored. And I'm excited to see in terms of possibly seeing things that we're actually might be getting. You know, Divines is a potentials for new mechanics as well. I think a lot of people are excited to see what's coming out in the future in terms of more support like that. So yeah, I'll be excited to see where they take it from there.
Indeed, especially since we also have the D Special series that's also going to be coming up soon.
Yes,
not for us, but in JP for now first.
we are getting it.
Wait a bit. It's coming to us in March, but they're getting it in December. They're going to be getting a honorary reprint set for a lot of cards. It's not a seldom thing that Bushiroad does a whole lot of reprints, but when it does, it's a lot of bangers. It's always good cards usually. So I'm happy to see that. And there's also going to be 2 confirmed new ride lines that's going to be explored. But I would also like them to explore some of the older ones back as well. So like some of the old ones, like maybe the old Grade 3 Nirvanas, maybe the some more Zorga stuff, maybe updated Zorga support. You're chuckling, Fuzzy. What's going on?
If I could get my boy Eugene a little love, that'd be really great and appreciate it. Thanks.
To be fair, Eugene and Baron Magnus are the only one of the OG squad that hasn't got a new form yet, I believe.
Yes, exactly. So something for them would be a really good include, you know? Just something for those older archetypes. And I would like it to happen. Hopefully.
Expect me at my next Bushiroad Rumble Online to roll up with premium Eugene Gize. I promise you.
Oh God, no! Somebody take his cards away from him. But sadly enough, we'll have to take ourselves away from you for a minute to pay some bills, look at some ads. Hopefully, you guys enjoy some of those purchase product, please.
Please, please.
Just enjoy that. Enjoy your little break. Go to the bathroom, take a drink, get something.
Get ready for some finals that are about to happen soon. Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, exactly. So see you guys soon. We'll see you guys in a moment.
Weiss Schwarz. Witness the strongest band together on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Ari Fureta, from Commonplace to World's Strongest. Trial Deck and Booster Pack. On sale November 17th. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard! What's that? It's a grade 11? Can Team Wildress create a new future? Booster Pack, Flight of Chakrabarthi. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard. I sever and manifest causality. Boldly cast to the side this feeble, unstable world. Booster Pack, Evenfall Onslaught. Bushiroad.
The flame of Leviathan rises, and new heroes must answer its roar. Will you join the adventure? Booster Set 3, Flame of Leviathan, coming soon.
Cardfight Vanguard! Encounters with heroes. Stories that will shape your soul are waiting for you. Booster Pack, Clash of the Heroes. Bushiroad.
A world with magic and science, parallel universe bathed in crimson, a magical high school, a virtual reality MMORPG world. It's time to take a trip down memory lane with Dengeki Bunko. Nostalgic titles like A Certain Magical Index, Shakugan no Shana, The Irregular at Magic High School, Sword Art Online, and many more are making a comeback with new illustrations. With 51 titles included in the set, there's definitely something for everyone. For our Bang Dream fans, Trial Deck Plus Bang Dream My Goal will also be performing on a Weiss Schwarz stage near you. The set features new illustrations that fans will want to add to their existing collections. Let's count down to the party! Premium Booster Bang Dream Girls Band Party Countdown Collection will also be performing on a stage to celebrate their 6th anniversary with glittering illustrations of your favorite Bang Dream girls. Don't miss out on this chance to update your collection with these new cards. From one idol to the next. You hear those cheers for an encore? We're happy to announce that Bochi and her friends will be bringing their performance to the stage of Weiss Schwarz as well. We'd love to have them now, but it's gonna take a while to convince Bochi to come out of her room, so we'll let you know once we manage to do so. One can never have enough idols performing, but heroines need a stage too. The heroines from Sai Kano will be making their comeback on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. The series may have reached its finale a few years back with the movie installment, but no matter who you root for, this is your chance to create a different ending for your favorite girl. Did you catch my clue at the start of this segment? We're returning to the world of Remnant in Premium Booster Ruby. Join Team Ruby and their newfound allies as they protect their world from the Grim. Intern Kun has shown me some tweets and I'm really impressed with your collections and I look forward to seeing your updated collections once this set launches next year. That's quite a lot to take in. In case you missed it, here's a summary of what we've announced so far. Trick or treat! Welcome to the Bushiroad English Conference Autumn 2023. With Halloween right around the corner, our pumpkin spice lattes seem to have been replaced by carved pumpkins. Ready your hearts and your wallets, you're in for a fright. Now that we're halfway through the Bushiroad Championship Series 2023 season, if you've been living under a pumpkin, the World Finals will take place on February 3rd, 2024 at Akihabara UDX. That's right, we're heading back to Tokyo, Japan. I can't wait to see all of you again and crown some new world champions. If you need even more motivation to take part, here's your first look at the promo cards you receive for participating. And the champions for each game and format will be receiving these. Oh, those are some impressive promo cards. If you're yet to win an invite, fret not. BCS is still ongoing, so you still have a chance to earn an invite at the following locations. Here are the dates for North and Latin America, Europe, Asia and Oceania. The top 3 winners for each game and format will be invited to participate at the World Finals. What's more, if you emerge champion of your region, your flight and accommodations will be on us.
Weiss Schwarz. Water, earth, fire, air.
Welcome everyone to the Bushiroad Rumble Online 2023. We are back from the break. We are here live with you guys for the finals. Not the semis, not the pre-semis, not after the 4 semis. This is the finals. I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know what's wrong with me this weekend. But we are here with you guys, with Fuzzy, with Eric for the last one. The last edition this year. There's many more to come, but this year is going to be the last one. Are you guys ready for this?
Oh, I'm so ready.
No, I need to go back to round 1. I need to prepare for what's gonna come here. So no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready at all.
All right, so let's take a quick look at the bracket of all the finalists who took their time to make it in today, to play their games out, and to show us what it means to be a Vanguarder. So first things first, we have the Entropy, Darren, Ares, Mana, Chatson, Yanal, Sage, and the Yeoman. Entropy versus Darren. Darren, sadly enough, falling to Entropy. Then Entropy going against Mana, and Mana making it into the finals. Then we have Chatson. Chatson versus Yanal. Yanal ended up taking that one, and it seems that we're probably on that Yanal train, because ever since we've been watching his feature matches, it seems that he's been on a winning streak. So right now, he's also in the finals as well, taking it over Sage the last round with the double Perle combination, the 1-2 punch that clocked his lights out, sadly.
Absolutely. I'll be excited to see how this particular finals is going to be playing out. Like you said earlier, we have been following Yanal, strangely enough, all the way up here to the finals, but we will see if Mana has enough to see, enough what it takes to be able to take it away from Yanal for the finals here. But yeah, why don't we take a look at the decks that we will be seeing in our final game for today.
If we look at this deck, honestly, now I can understand why the name is spelled Mana with 2 capitals, because I think every opponent will scream that the moment they see the starter, because it is none other than Link, Joker, Star, Chaos Breaker, Dragon. So we've seen this deck already showcased during the Swiss round, but there are a couple of differences here, because we see like include of a different grid 3 with Chaos Breaker, Dragon close. That's a potential tech card that we see that we haven't seen in the previous version. But overall, it feels like we know what this deck does. It is basically controlling all your opponent's option. Either locking stuff on their board, locking stuff from the top of the deck if they want to play around it. If they play around that, we can lock stuff from their damage zone. They attack us, we lock stuff from them. Like, lock is the name of the game of this deck. And if we go into their G-Zone, it basically translates even further in that, because we have more cards that start locking more and more and more stuff. Like, we have, of course, one of the OGs, or should I say OGs from the end of the era, Chaos Breaker Deluge. This was the main card that changes a lot, being able to lock stuff from the damage zone. but we also see both versions of Global. I believe the other version we saw on stream didn't include these Global Avalanche, but just the original Global Dragon. But both of them open up different lines of play. But we also have some interesting tech card in the form of Baryon Dragon. This is also kind of funny card that could definitely come up with. I believe this one steals markers in some regard, like what we saw with Chaos Breaker Dragon in V. So a very powerful card and a very strong G-Zone. But I feel like we know what this deck does, minus take a bait some of the key opponents here. But is there anything you guys want to highlight about this particular deck that might come up in the current matchup that we see? Because we know what he's going to go up against with Highlander deck.
I think since the Highlander does have access to the Helltruda line, I think something like Baryon being able to trim down some markers with the combination of Chaos Breaker Dragon V version, I think it could actually be a situation that might come up a bit this game. What do you think, Fuzzy?
No, I definitely agree with you there, JJ. I think the name of the game here, especially if I'm in Mana's position, is to be able to strip as many force markers as I can from such a powerful multi-attacking deck like Yanal's Highlander list here. Just having that ability to restrict as much multi-attack potential as you could see here with this deck list is able to provide, you know, just calling down multiple rear guards, spamming your force markers, putting them on your rear guard circles, making large multi-attack after multi-attack after multi-attack, and having some way to at least restrict it, even if you can't necessarily lock down your opponent, locking down something like their force markers might be the way to go here. Especially if we transition quickly over to the G zone, we can see here, you know, it is such a powerful card, Helltruda, the namesake of the deck, in my opinion, at least. If we have just any way to just hinder it just by a little bit, then that might be just enough we need to be able to close out the game.
Definitely. But with that being said, these are your finalists. This is your games. These players will play for you guys live at Bushiroad Rumble Online 2023 Premium EU. Let's go.
So, alrighty. On the left, we have Mana playing Link Joker, Chaos Breaker, and then on the right, we have Yanal playing Bermuda Triangle Highlander.
So before we start with the match and players start picking up their grade 1 and grade 2 turns, one thing I do want to point out is that in the first couple of rounds that we followed Yanal, we saw two different win conditions. First off, we saw him doing the main play, multi-tag, make a bunch of force markers, and eventually swing with like a 50k Turia that your opponent cannot block. Then in the semifinals, we saw him overwhelm with the double Pearl Sister. Interestingly enough, both these win conditions, these strategies, do not work effectively against Link Joker. They can remove the force marker, thus making late game insane numbers very unlikely. And a Pearl Sister combination on turn 2, they will not stick on the board because they will be locked with Mana's blocking capabilities. So we have to see how Yanal can navigate through these awkward positions in order to get to a win condition that won't be their typical win condition.
It would be interesting to see. Like I said, both of them have their own intricacies to be able to try and combat one another. I think as we were explaining earlier, Chaos Breaker just trying to take away as many force markers as they possibly can coming from Yanal's side of the board. And then Yanal, you know, just having that ability to bounce not just rear guards, but specifically circles through means such as Helltruda. And then even if they can't Helltruda, I believe they also have access to Anj as well, their Stride Anj, which will also bounce circles back. So it'll be interesting to see how both of them try to combat one another in a sense.
Definitely. So we do have the drive check here for the Lady Battle of the White Dwarf. Was able to resolve it, not being able to select any of the cards yet. Drive check is into something.
It was an over trigger. It was an over trigger.
Oh no.
That is not what you would see from your null perspective, and that's definitely what you see what you want to see if you're Mana.
Oh, and a Laura off the top card of the Lizelet. Yes, it is. It's very good, and Laura in particular is actually very interesting here. Now, Laura is actually a very powerful card in my opinion for the Highlander build, but in something like against Chaos Breaker, you might not want to spam as many rear guards as you want onto the board. So potentially good, potentially bad, depending on how you look at the situation here.
So defensive here, nothing. Gonna be into a Quivering Claw. Gonna be drawing for a card for turn.
I also believe the drive check last turn for Mana's case was the one-off Furion PG. So that allows him to have one of those interactive PGs, allow you to draw extra cards if you set up your mechanic here. So that's using for Mana. Extra draw power as well as Perfect Guard to the disposal. Another great form on your null side out of the deck. Like, is this something you want to see if you're a Highlander player? Because those cards means less targets in your deck to actually get into.
All right, so Ridden into Zirconium being placed on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, kind of last one. That's definitely right, Eric. We will actually touch back on that in a second. Calling and forcing a draw here. Going to be calling another card.
Oh, it looks like a photon over here.
Going to be locking another Rearguard Circle. Only having access to one circle is going to be a bit annoying to deal with without having the access to that Heltruda yet.
And then I don't believe Photon can actually swing in because Photon's only a 9k here. So it's only going to be the one attack, putting, up to 1 damage. Very nicely executed, if I do say so myself, coming from Mana. But right, just trying to set up a pseudo triangle lock from the get-go is not a bad idea. You want to try and restrict as much multi-attack pressure as you can coming down from Yanal side of the board, and just being able to, that Heltruda is a stride, so they won't be able to do it right from the get-go. So having some way to at least restrict it in a little sense is nice.
Mm-hmm. I will actually touch back on the topic that Eric was discussing earlier of like getting your grade force filtered out. I think if you end up seeing something like Betty or any talking about
speaking of her, as soon as you say so, she appears.
Speaking of like cards like Betty, being able to send back any of your grade force you possibly might have been able to have seen earlier might still be nice, because with Heltruda you can call any 2 cards from your hand, right? And if you happen to call like return any of the grade 4s that you have on board back to your hand, you can send them back into deck, being able to utilize them again.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like, even though they're out of the deck, Bermuda has, even though it's a singleton deck, they have a lot of cards that allow them to cycle their cards in order to feel like they have like 3 or 4 copies of certain cards, even though they're only running 1 of them, which makes the deck so ferocious because you feel like, oh, that card is out of the deck, I don't have to worry about it. And then suddenly 2 turns later, it's suddenly on the board again. You're like, wait, what happened?
No hit. None, I think. There is no grade 3 hit.
I don't see one either here, JJ. That actually might be a little detrimental here. We definitely, I mean, that's the namesake of the deck, right? You want to try and find as many grade 3 options as you can. And it does stink when you check your top 10 and there's nothing to be had there.
All right, so they choose to ride into the grade 1. It's going to be a 1 to pass. I guess I could still like hit a rear guard, maybe if you get a trigger, or still hit the Vanguard. No, they actually can't. So just the rear guard probably might be the only hit here that can get into it.
But do they have a dry check? Because I believe it's no dry checks here.
They do not, but I actually agree with JJ. You could just try to smack the rear guard for 18, and if it does hit, it is Radka, so we do get the ability to draw a card at the very least. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of merit to the play here. So I don't disagree with it.
And one of the cooler things about this, though, is that if they do end up using the heal trigger to -2 crit, it still hits. So it still gets to draw a card.
We'll see if Yanal is here deciding to attack the Photon instead, because Mana did use his Keel Guardian to give himself the plus 10k power. So it's with no drive check, it's not going to be swinging over to the Vanguard over here. Yep, and that looks like the case.
I think the card investment was too large for him, I think.
The reason why I feel like he allowed the attack to go through is because you still have that rearguard to the side. So he can block the Vanguard, but then Yanal might just swing into the rearguard again, and you have to guard another card if you want to keep it on the board. So if you want to have the damage, might as well just allow this thing to go, give Yanal the extra card, and then say, well, if you want to keep more pressure, you have to attack the Vanguard now. You're not getting free value off of me.
Ooh, I like this in choosing the least a lot. That is in the soul here. It's going to be revealing this. Are you going to be putting this into soul? I feel...
I actually like that play a lot. That's really interesting. Okay, so breaking it down just a little bit, he used the effect of the Eleanor to Soul Blast out a card as well as the Reindeer that's stacking on top of the deck, right? So that would cause the ride down. Yes. And then going back into Lizolet, he can then quote unquote check the top card of his deck, he knows it's the Eleanorn, and then he can actually either recall it out onto the board or he can soul charge it. So because of course, you know, the last thing he'd want to do is have a dead card on the top of your deck for potential damage checks. So just having that ability to filter out that deck, not only ride down, but also filter out your top deck is actually really clean.
So I believe he wrote into close. Is it close that he wrote? Because it's not the original Chaos Breaker Dragon.
Yeah, so it's going to be Counterblast 1, Soul Charge 1. Discard a card. It's going to make him... I do also agree with you, Eric. It actually is close. So for a lot of people who might not be too familiar with this archetype, a lot of people usually see people right into regular Chaos Breaker. So this one chooses a card with Star Vader from your hand and discards it. So discard it Zirconium for the cost. When this is placed on Vanguard Circle, or when your G unit with Star Vader in its original name is stritten upon it, you can soul charge 1, and your opponent chooses a card to lock themselves. Oh, you choose actually. You choose which one to lock.
Interesting note that he did choose to ride into the Chaos Breaker close here. You would expect actually something like perhaps just a normal Chaos Breaker to come down, maybe to try and first try to combat the force markers that are potentially coming from Yanal's following possible Helltruda turn. But it could just simply be that he didn't have the Chaos Breaker in his hand.
Well,
I think
he does. Yeah, but he does have it now because I just saw it being drove check. So if he didn't have it, we're gonna see Chaos Breaker Dragon next turn.
All right. So it looks like he does have a critical trigger you can guard with. He's thinking about whether or not he wants to guard that or not. I agree with guarding here. It is like one less card that you have for Helltruda, but going to 3 damage in this matchup is a little bit spooky.
Also, if the Treasure Claw hits, he's able to start locking different cards and give him more value, I believe.
It looks at your top 5 to add one of your Star Vader units, which does indeed give a whole lot of value, as you mentioned. Going to be discarding his heal trigger here.
That's pretty painful if you have to discard a heal trigger in this situation.
Definitely. I mean, in some cases, you got to do what you got to do. And if that name of the game is Helltruda, you want to try and at least, you know, get to that point in your stages of the game, trying to bounce as many circles as you possibly can, get those locked cards off of the board. Because I think, as JJ stated earlier, Helltruda, while it does bounce cards, it actually specifically says on your circles. So being able to target your circle and then bounce a card on your circle, you're able to circumvent the lock mechanic that way.
Mm-hmm. It does still save the Link Joker player of not being not needing to worry about the extra multi-attack pressure, but resetting the board still puts it in the hands of the Bermuda player to commit whatever units they feel like they need. So we're looking at some cards here. It's top.
Yeah, we saw a Betty come down here. We're seeing potentially what we might want to try and grab off the Betty. Now, do you guys think, because I do see a Pearl Sister there in the hand, in the top check here. Do you think trying to farm for Pearl Sisters would be the ideal line of play here?
I feel like we pick the Sandy or the Aqua if we can.
Yeah, because I feel like if you know your opponent has Chaos Breaker by next turn, it feels a bit dangerous to call down those Pearl Sisters this early on.
Definitely the case.
Because if you don't have both of them, it basically becomes a brick in your hand until you find the second one.
And then
not only that, but the last thing you'd probably want to do is restrict your Pearl Sisters by means of locking them, right? Like it would, I personally think it would stink if one of your Pearl Sisters ends up being locked and you just don't have access to the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I could definitely see that line of play then there. Right. Now the question is if we're talking about specifically about attack patterns here, I think we're only going to be having not as many attacks as we would like to see because of that one locked card. But it's in the long scheme of things, it's not going to matter when it comes to trying to, at least in my opinion, the name of the game here is trying to focus on a larger center column than anything else.
So we're coming in with a 32k column against an 11k base. So this is going to ask quite a lot of shield. 25k shield is nothing to scoff at. That's quite a lot.
Definitely. Since it's 11k at the moment, indeed. And swinging in for a large number. So we have a Guardian Shield.
I believe just a 5k. Oh, it's the promo, the grade 1 planetary minerals.
But
yeah, not using the effect either. But I agree because unfortunately, that specific card is a little more used in the V version of Chaos Breaker to be able to unlock your opponent's cards, and then using Chaos Breaker's effect to retire and then take more force markers during your opponent's turn. So it does stink to not be able to use it in its fullest extent. But sometimes you just got to use what you got to use.
Oh gosh, and having the sacrifice here, the Perla Sister. Going to be returning cards back into hand.
Those are very powerful discards because not only Pearl Sister, but also a Sandy was in those free cards. So another G-Guard option is out.
Oh man, both players are making quite large sacrifices, ditching key combo pieces that they might need in the later stages of the game. But it's in the finals. Both of these players are in the finals, so they're both trying to do any means possible to try and take the W here.
Oh, I love this. Going to use a perfect guard here, discarding the other shield, the quick shield. So drive checking first, second, third. Nothing.
Those are not good hits. That's another great four. All great fours are now out, and the range as well. What are the targets left for Reindeer at this point?
I think like Lupina, maybe.
Lupina. I think Lupina and Tyria are the only cards left because we saw an orange earlier as well.
I don't believe Yanal runs anything to properly other than the Betty to recycle. I don't remember seeing a Sistico either. So the more and more as this game goes on, the less and less options is looking like Yanal has.
Okay. So this becomes a attrition game of like, do we feel that Mana is going to have enough resources to stave off all these attacks? Because we could go into Cosmo Wreath here to force him to lock one.
We could potentially go that line of play here. One other potential play here is just, of course, trying to stave off the main Vanguard swing. I mean, at the end of the day, these are smaller numbers, so potentially guarding here and then not guarding here rather, and then trying to stave off on the Vanguard swing might be the better idea. But I'm not entirely too sure.
Actually, it only locks back. I'm not talking. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me at all. I didn't say anything.
Oh, true. Well, actually, no. Even in that case, then even more powerful for Yanal to call the double front port. Then.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you end up calling the Betty, there's a possibility you could have also called the Betty on the force marker, maybe, and then gotten to send back one of the great force back, give him a chance to rewrite here, but.
All right, I believe we see the
Lucas Karina coming down here.
Yes, yeah. So that would have forced a lock here. Oh my goodness!
No,
did he just? He also drew check. Oh my goodness gracious!
Okay, so
Lupina is the only card left.
So Rita's gone. Oh man. Okay, I need you to stop.
What other options do we have here?
I see Lupina.
We do see the Lupina, but the Lupina does cost a counterblast here. And unfortunately, Yanal has already used the one counterblast on the Heltruda. So this is just going to be I think just a regular old swing here from the Vanguard.
But this does mean that after this turn, if he doesn't shuffle anything back, Yanal has no more targets left for a Reindeer. Or at least he might have the Jerline left as the last option.
That might be the play here. We'll see where he puts the force marker here. Do you think putting it on the rear guards is it's such a tough call, because if you're in Yanal's position, I think you know that these force markers are going to be staying forever. We do get a Reindeer off the drive check, and that is going to push Mana up to 4 damage here. So whether that is going to be enough to try and push him over the edge on the following crackback turn, we'll find out. But it's going to be passing it back over to Mana. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm expecting a certain Chaos Breaker to come down. Oh, no, actually, he's going to be using it as the stride cost instead. What is he going into? Looks like a glue ball?
No, it's the
barrier end.
Yeah, it's barrier end. He's going to steal the markers now, which is basically what you want to do, because he's probably saw all those great frees being dry checked. So if he steals all these markers, and Yanal has to ride like a grade 1 or grade 2 afterwards, that means that grade 1 or grade 2 has no pressure, like nothing, no drive checks, hardly any power. It's not going to do anything for you. This is really, really good. And keep in mind, this variant end is going to swing for lethal on its own. So Yanal probably has a PG, but in the off chance he doesn't, this could be the end of the game.
And right now, with people who might not be too familiar with Barrier End Dragon, it has the ability of like win place, turn the card from EG's on face up, so thus he chose to flip up the Messiah. You can remove all markers from your opponent's circles, remove all protects from your opponent's hand, and this gets plus 10k, plus 1 critical for every of the markers removed, and 4 is gone. So that's 4 extra critical. This is over 60,000 power plus 5 criticals. Do you have a perfect guard, or is this GG, my friend?
Oh my goodness, it might actually come down to it, because if we remembered earlier, through the drive checks of Yanal, we did not see a perfect guard come down. We just saw grade 4, grade 1, grade 3. I don't remember seeing a perfect guard in any of these drive checks. He might just have to take it here.
I feel like he doesn't have it.
And don't forget, he does not have... he did not have a other G Guardian to give him more shield value.
So he's G guarding here. So he's going to hard guard this attack.
We do see the Citron coming down. I think he's going to be trying to call the Betty, maybe potentially trying to fish for an answer here. Oh, we do see the PG. Okay.
Okay. We're safe. We're safe. We're safe. We're safe. We live.
That is basically, at least in my opinion, the line of play here, right? We're going to try and potentially grab the PG. We're going to cycle one off of Betty, and then we're going to use the PG to be able to guard the attack here from Barrio. And it is a little more costly at the end of the day, yes. But, I mean, if you're staring down 5 critical triggers, you're going to try and do anything you can to live.
Honestly, I feel like this is the best case, worst case scenario for meta. Yes, they have the PG, but they had to waste a G guard in order to get it. So you basically get rid of 2 very powerful cards of Yanal in one swoop.
Exactly. And even like, and we did like say, oh my God, Mana's been unlucky. It's been having unfortunate. We also look at Mana's situation over here right now. Mana has no cards in hand.
True.
Mana's 4 damage with no cards in hand. And
that's very true. These drive checks might matter a lot here.
So these needs to be either double crits or some heal triggers or some other way to defensively get him back into the game. And it looks to be a heal.
But that's about it.
We did see. No, we saw. I believe that was a PG. That was also drove check there as well. So we know from the drive checks he has a PG as well as a heal trigger.
Now the claw here. Do we give him an extra card? I feel like we can't.
I think we swing rearguard here, right? The idea of giving Yanal an extra damage just seems very dangerous here, because if it's not for the simple fact of trying to restrict, a counterblast from something like a Lupina, right? At least a counterblast for something like Heltruda. Heltruda does cost a counterblast, so by denying him that 1 damage here might matter a lot.
Exactly. And for the viewers at home, the claw does not need to hit Vanguard to resolve the skill. So you can actually hit the rearguard to get to add a card.
So it looks like he went for Vanguard here.
Oh, it needs to hit a Vanguard, actually. I am... it does need to hit the Vanguard, actually.
I mean, even if it not even thinking about that scenario, I still think having the Craven Claw hit a rearguard just seems a little more prevalent. I don't know. There's just something about giving Yanal that 1 extra damage seems a little too scary for me.
So now there's a PG, there's a heal trigger, there's 2 extra damage that it can also take, and there's also no force markers more on the board. This is a simplified game state if I've ever seen one.
Well, we know that Yanal has another Ranger in his hand, so he can just rewrite to get a force marker, unless that's the only grade 3, so he has to ditch it for Stride, maybe?
I mean, even then, you could potentially go into something like a Tiroa grade 4, personally, just to get a restand effect. I mean, mana is at 3 damage. There is a little bit of flexibility there, but we'll see. Nope, just choosing to go into the Heltruda instead. That's still fine. That just means we're literally going all out. I don't think Yanal that has that many cards left in his hand. I think he's just going to be taking whatever he has left in his hand and just going to be discarding it for the cost of Heltruda.
I think those 3 cards are just gone. So it's going to be for 14, 14, 24. I think we eat this one. Defensive.
That's a photon. That is not a trigger.
Photon. Oh no.
Yeah, if the defensive would have been insane here, but sadly it's not what's the case. This is 22?
22, 15k shield, nothing.
No, not another defensive. Oh no. Mana is in some danger. Mana needs some mana to be able to try and live.
This is going to be coming in for 28.
I assume a PG coming down?
We're staring down 3 cards left in Mana's hand. And one of them is that PG.
Okay, so color me crazy. I like calling Betty here.
Just to load up more targets for Reindeer?
Yes.
I would agree with that, yeah.
But it is still...
The Lupina is out!
No, but that's fine, because there's no force markers anyway. It's like only one reset, and you can't make any use of it. It's fine.
Maybe or maybe not. It will matter. Might depend here. We've got 3 more, potentially 3 to 4 more attacks here coming from Yanal. And Mana's just going to take the last damage. And he says, it's not enough. I see the lines. It's not enough for me to guard. And Yanal takes it. And Yanal is your BRO 2023 champion for the premium format. Oh my goodness.
Wow. So there was like a lot of stumbling going around from both players. Both players just like literally playing with the bare bones and what they can fight with. It was spectacular to watch. Just very simplified games. We did see the Barrio N coming up that was mentioned before. We did see the Betty that we mentioned that did come up that happened. So it was just like a whole bunch of like foresight from both of them to say like, okay, what do we need to do here? And I believe I was completely wrong thinking about we really needed a Betty. Having the 2 attackers being at 5 damage and just going for win is way better than just trying to set up that you could potentially win later. So yeah. It's good. It was good. I was goofing.
It's a different line of play for different reasons. Like I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad or wrong, but I think it's like a different philosophy of how you look at the game. But because at the same time, if you want to say I'm not going to kill this turn, I'm at 1. What is my opponent going to do at this point? Because it's open deck format. That stride that gave like 5 crits, the Boogeyman, that was a one-off stride. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. It's done. Like that pressure is away. But I don't know what this game was. This game was weird. Like, we see a Highlander deck with no Highlander targets anymore the entire time. Like, it was awkward for that sense. A Chaos Breaker Dragon that wasn't on Chaos Breaker for the entire game. It wasn't close. And this game was close very quickly after that. Like, my God.
I will say, watching back and kind of replaying a little bit in my head here, I did actually like the fact that, Yanal did have that sort of foresight into going into this matchup and saying, okay, well, you don't have any of those new history collection strides. Chaos Breaker isn't one of those history collection strides. So I could comfortably do my ride down plays here. And then, if you do manage to end up locking my board, well, then I could just rebuttal by going back into my Reindeer and then going into Heltruda on the following turn. So in that sense, I think there was a little bit of foresight going into it. But yeah, I actually agree with Eric there that that Chaos Breaker close was definitely not, I think, what a lot of us were expecting there. It might have been just it just might have been one of those unfortunate circumstances where, you just don't have the necessary pieces that you have. But sometimes that's the case. And in Vanguard, you try to adapt to what you have.
And I think them going into close was probably one of the ways for them to adapt, because I do agree with you. I don't think they actually had a Chaos Breaker at that point.
Yeah, he drew them into the wrong order. He rode close and then dry check into Chaos Breaker Dragon. If it was the other way around, it would have been a completely different ballpark.
Exactly, because it would have been on a 13 base Vanguard, a couple of rear guards that were hitting over 11 or 12 or 13. He could have just like had an intercept or 5k shield for. He could have used the lady to unlock one of the others, retire something, draw some extra cards, get rid of markers in the interim. It could have been a completely different ballgame, and I still feel that Mana did their best, and congratulations to both of them. It was a spectacular game to watch, very scrappy, super scrappy, and I loved every minute of it.
Both of them were trying to adapt to the best that they can. Both of them didn't have their ideal game plan at the end of the day, but it was just a matter of how can I pivot and how can I try and use this to circumvent and going over my opponent.
Oh man, that was such a wild game. And like not only just this one, just like all of the features, all of the games that we get to saw today. I'll ask both of you, and hopefully you guys can give me one. In any of the rounds, even leading up into the finals, which one was one of your favorite games to watch?
Oh, easy. Round 1, there was Gears.
fair enough.
Well, to be honest, this is gonna be weird. I am surprisingly really enjoyed the Mega Colony Mirror.
Fair. You know what? Fair. I also thought that was going to be a bit of a snooze as well, as most people would think, right? It's like, oh my God, it's just a bunch of bugs just fighting against each other. But it's like both players are calculating each other's outs because both of them are just like asking, like, how many triggers have you seen? How many disarray guard have you seen? Like, could you open your drop zone for me? Just kind of just like spying each other's drop zone.
The funny thing about it is like, usually you're like, okay, how can my opponent kill me? Now they're thinking, how can I kill me? That's not that.
Absolutely, definitely.
What about you, Fuzzy? What is your favorite?
Oh, probably some of the earlier rounds, in my opinion. I loved seeing the Kagero matchup that both you and Erica commentated earlier. So that was, to me, always seeing Kagero is a wonderful sight to see. I think one of also like just the really cool things about Premium is that, there are going to be some cases where you run into decks and you don't expect to see that at all. I think seeing all of the weird, funky inclusions in the BRO spaces probably the most enjoyable things for me.
But now that he said Lawkeeper, what is your one, JJ? You cannot say Lawkeeper as well, beside that one.
As much as me and my waifu Victor are having our lover spat at the moment, I still feel like most of the Victor games, I feel, was still like really cool to see, like Sazanda popping off, and like when the deck pops off, it looks so beautiful. It's like watching a masterclass by a Vanguard player, just kind of like teaching you like combo lines and attack patterns and stuff. And then there's moments where the deck gives you like a Gambara gun and tells you to go forge yourself in the woods or something, and just like like go on your own, the young one, and try your best, and then you don't last 2 days. And that's sometimes the dichotomy of playing a very, very aggressive archetype like Nova. And it was very spectacular to watch like players like them be able to navigate in a way. And I'm proud to say, I think I've said this like last time, and maybe some of the other broadcasts, I'm proud to see like how far our community has come so far in terms of like learning Vanguard, mastering it, learning their decks and mastering it, and learning matchups and mastering them. And of course you'll have like better lines here and there and stuff. And some people will say, well, Vanguard's a very simplistic game. All you have to do is just turn your card sideways. I'm like,
just some regards,
a little more than that. Just a little more than that.
There's a truth in that, but it's not the whole truth.
Exactly, right? And then we will bring you guys to the final bracket in a second, so that we can have the players' finalist interview. And you could bring it here. This is the page. This is where it all happened. You can look at all of the battles that were had this weekend. The span of 8 whole top 8 players. Entropy, Darren, Aries, Mana, Chatson, Yanal, and Sage. Thank you so much. Fuzzy, what else with this bracket you want to show them today then?
I think it's just important to note there that I guess let your commentators pick your castings, because apparently we picked champions here for whatever reason. I did not expect it, but you know what? I'm all for it.
And it's like so much weird weird upsets, or like in weird ways you're like, oh, okay, this matchup seems a little bit favorable, but then it becomes like, oh my god, this is a lot more closer than I think it should be. And it's just so wild to see. And then Entropy versus Mana coming out ahead with their Ling Joker strategy. Yanal coming in here with a Highlander, an archetype that had seen a whole lot of hits with Q-Tire being gone, and that option being sealed off of getting their consistency hit, and still being able to come out on top and proving everyone like, hey, this deck is not gone. It's not forgotten. It's gone, but not forgotten.
We'll always remember you, Q-Tire. We'll live on in your name.
Oh, no.
Please not. Please don't.
No. I'm good. I do not need a repeat. Thank you.
Exactly.
And what about you, Eric? What stands out to you?
I mean, the only thing I could take away from this bracket is that Mana probably foresaw the position. They had 2 exclamation mark. They got 2 promo cards now. They put if they put a 4 exclamation marks behind the name, they would have got the full copy of the Chronojet. So Mana, next time put 4 exclamation marks, and you're gonna be the champion.
So that it was like
makes sense, yeah.
1 crit for Yanal, and then 2 exclamation marks for Mana. 1, 2. Good. All right, so we will have a player interview for you guys in a second, but first we're getting a little bit set up for it. But let's talk a little bit more about like the evergreen moment, right? Not just the Blitz order, but like the evergreen moment of like we're going into a new series, right? We are having a collaboration with Shadowverse. That a lot of events are starting up. World qualifiers for that are starting up. Shop tournaments for that are starting up. So if you guys are also taking part in the Shadowverse events, be sure to play those games, man. Play more Vanguard, play more Shadowverse. And there's also Buddy Fight that's also happening as well in JP as well.
Wait, Buddy Fight in 2023?
2020? No? Huh? No? No, but those events that are also being potentially held as well, even though they're like fan events, those potentially giving the idea for developers or developers of the game. Show you're interested in the game, everybody. Be sure to support your local game stores and all that good stuff. And we get to have more awesome events like this, you know? It's just good.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
Definitely.
Yeah. Playing card games. Who would have guessed? It's good. It's fun.
Having the ability to support locals in any ways you can is always a wonderful thing. But of course, you know, when it comes to these online events as well, I will just say it's always nice when these sorts of events are held for those who don't have local tournaments. But I'm speaking too much. You know, we should have someone else speak. Why don't we have our champion speak for us if we want to shift it over to the champion interview? Alrighty, everybody. So we have here your EU BRO 2023 Premium Champion, Yanal. Hello there.
Hi. Yeah.
So first off, we just want to extend to you a heartfelt congratulations, of course. 4 Chronojet promo cards coming your way. How do you feel right now?
I feel pretty good. I think I'm kind of glad that I joined the EU, I guess, because it seemed very, like, you know, everyone seemed to play, like, pretty meta decks, so there weren't any big surprises, I guess. I felt like all the testing I did was pretty rewarding, because, you know, I tested against, like, Pure Noyora, Narukami, and that's the decks that I saw, so that's pretty cool.
That's good. So, like, how much... Okay, so for our average premium player, how much like hours of testing or days of testing do you think you've put into it right now to play it into those matchups?
Oh, several days. But I just, like, you know, after class for like the past month or something, I just pick a deck that I need to test against, and yeah, I just put a bunch of games in to see how Highlander fares into it. And overall, it's more of just making sure Reindeer doesn't win. But, yeah.
Talking about
out of my control.
Talking about the reindeer with potential whiffing, what was your thought when that happened in the finals, that you saw all your targets being removed from the deck so early on? Like, we saw all your grade 4s and grade 3s gone.
Like 3 grade 4s, like 2 grade 3s. It's like Reet is gone.
Like, I mean, I feel like my list runs more grade 3s than some other ones. I run 8 targets for reindeer. So I thought, okay, that should be fine. But like, I ride to grade 1, and I drive check all the other ones except for Lupina and Gerlinde. So yeah, I just thought, you know, it's out of my control. You know, whatever reindeer sees is, you know, is gonna happen. You know.
And like,
but
what made you consider Highlander? Actually, what made you pick that deck?
Oh, it's it's the deck I had, I guess, because I knew the format was very diverse. So I didn't really want to build a new deck that I wasn't fully comfortable playing in, because I suspect I'll see a lot of different decks. I feel like the format's pretty open, and bring a deck that I already knew how to play to some extent was probably the best option going into this. So I think Narukami is probably, well, before the ban list, but I think Narukami was probably one of the better decks to pick just because of how consistent it was. But I didn't want to put the time into learning it. So, yeah.
Was there any deck throughout the entire tournament that you were scared of facing?
Yes, I didn't want to face Sharon, which I did. Yeah.
And how did you deal with that matchup?
You discard so much with reindeer. But, yeah, I mean, you discarded so much with reindeer and Haltrada that you having to force more discards against Shiranu makes it so that you can't Haltrada a lot, or you just randomly die to Rene or something like that. I did face it and I did win, but it was definitely a very rough matchup. I had to ride down because I went first, because if I let them get to their strike game, then it's over. But yeah, riding down is still very important, I feel like.
Yeah, I was telling my fellow co-casters here, where it's like one of the benefits, I think, of an open deck format such as like BRO is that you're able to kind of see and gauge, like, okay, what type of great threes my opponent might have, and maybe I'm able to adapt into that sort of scenario. And if I can have the option to go to the ride down option and not get punished as hard by if they go into a history collection stride, well, then that might be an alternative option that I can take there. So I think that seemed like a very good strategy on your end, if I do say so myself.
Yeah,
I prefer, facing a history collection stride rather than like exterminate or something like that.
Fair.
Yeah, I think the only scariest one that you probably have to face, but it's a deck that's not played that often, is maybe like Nova. I think Nova's probably has the scariest of all of the first history collection strides out of everybody. Maybe Mega Colony kind of a little bit, but they don't even really go into history stride that often. But then what about your local environment though? Like your locals, do you test a lot there?
I have 0 locals. Unfortunately. Yeah. I like NYC a lot, but I moved out for university. So unfortunately, I can't go to my locals here. This past month, I've been in college, so that definitely made things a lot harder to not have like IRL testing. But yeah. I didn't think I would be able to come this far without having a locals, because I feel like that's pretty important.
Very true, but then I guess in that sense too, you might possibly have like a play group or something like that. You could possibly have bounce ideas off of if that helps. I think one of the key elements, at least in my opinion, is having that ability to maybe have some small semblance of like an online community, maybe to be able to bounce some ideas off of. I don't know if that was the case for you.
Not really. I was mostly just by myself.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair.
I noticed.
I will shout out my friend Andrew. Who I'll just constantly text so much Highlander thoughts and telling, these right targets, and he would just have to sit through that as I ramble on and on about Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, he's cool. So,
and still finding
but
the
overall,
time,
not much remote testing or anything.
And still finding the time to test out what you could though in that meantime, and still becoming a champion. Okay, all right.
Big props.
Absolutely.
All right, so we don't want to take too much of your time. My fellow co-casters, you guys have any last minute questions? Anything that you want to ask them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess my last question would be: do you feel comfortable? Well, first off, if you're going to any more BCS seasons, would you feel comfortable bringing Highlander to a BCS?
Yeah, of course. I feel like it's definitely a deck that can't have too many bad matchups just because of how aggressive it is, and it's more so on like what reindeer top 10 sees. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad.
Or opening double parlay.
Yeah.
That also helps.
Yeah. That could also happen. But overall, it's like not too consistent, I feel like. But if you know how to deal with the cards that you're given, it's all one-offs, then and play into what situation you're in, then you should be able to do that.
Fair. I've honestly one more question before we end this up, unless JJ has one more in the tank. For me, it's basically, now that we see your name here, where you won BRO 2023 Premium Edition, will we see Yanal again in the future in a different stage? Maybe winning a BCS, maybe entering Worlds as well. Are we going to see Yanal more in the future?
I hope so. They have a BCS. They have a BCS Neo Maryland, then hit me up. Yeah.
There you go. Write him up for Bushiroad BCS next year. Let's go.
Nice. Okay, so my only question to you is: do you happen to have like any shout outs? Anybody else you want to give like their flowers to? Anybody you want to praise up for helping you get this far?
Yeah, of course. I mentioned Andrew already. Like he was upstairs for Swiss rounds with me, just in the other room. And yeah, very fun talking together on Discord and talking between rounds. Very hyped. And shout out to my parents and family, of course. I'm home with them right now. It's very nice. Shout out to my locals. I know I haven't been going the past 2 months, but I'll go this weekend or something. We're on Thanksgiving break, so.
Yeah, the holidays are coming up, right? You maybe get a little more time to go there.
Yeah.
What's the name of the store, actually? Maybe you can have some of the viewers head there if they're probably living.
Yeah, of course. Card Questing, Silk Road Gaming. Great places.
A good old Card Quest, good old Silk Road. Yes, I do.
All right. I want to thank you so much, Yanal, for being here for us today. Thank you for the interview. Hopefully that you have a great rest, great weekend. You deserve it. Well done at the event.
Yes, you guys should go to sleep too.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm in a European time zone right now. It's a perfectly good hour for me. I'm totally okay.
Yeah.
We're totally fine. Don't worry about it. We're good. All right. Thank you so much for being with us, Yanal. Have a good one.
Of course. Yeah, thank you.
And ladies and fellas, there you have it. Our finalist, our champion, Yanal. Humble as ever. Very shy. But it was really good to see all of their games played out to efficiency. It was really good to watch. Thank you for letting us into your homes, everybody, for you at home. This has been a stellar weekend. It was so good casting with you guys again. Any last thoughts, any last sentiments you guys have?
I have one more thing to end off in conjunction to the interview we just had with the champion. This, honestly, what he told us, this goes to show there are like multiple ways how you can prepare for a tournament. Because usually we see when we have a champion, they tell us about they have a cohesive play group. They've been testing for months and months on hand. But I'm gonna put myself out there a bit here. I am not one of those people that do that. I usually do a lot of theory crafting. Like I look at decks, I look at things, how they work, but I don't play test as much. And seeing him doing the exact same method of just, hey, I buy myself, I'm just taking in what I know and how the deck works and just do the theory crafting. That alone can also prepare you to be well in the tournament and perform well, because there are different angles you can take. Because yes, knowing every single method in and out by playing it 100 million times over and over again can work. But if you also know all the cards in a format, what the main combos are, what the main lies are, how your opponent's deck work, that could also be enough to just navigate through those difficult positions. As long as, of course, you know your own deck in and out.
So having inherent knowledge of your archetype make you play better. Who
would have thought?
Who would have thought being good at the game makes you play better?
I mean, as some players might know, a very important phrase in card games, reading the card explains the card.
Don't talk to me like that. I'm a card player. I don't leave me alone.
Oh, I'm not reading my cards. No.
Leave me alone, bro. I activate my skills with Counterblast. Don't talk to me.
Yeah, but
what about you, Fuzzy? How do you feel about everything that's said and done?
Honestly, my takeaway from this weekend is just, man, I am so excited for my upcoming BCS and being able to play a few games of premium, because I'm just so hyped now. I'm ready to get out there, explore, see some more interesting decks out there. And I hope for the viewers at home, you're excited too. We definitely have a few more BCS seasons to wrap up before the entire season as it is. So maybe this is just a precursor of things to come, and I'm just excited. I'm ready.
Yes, especially since you mentioned the one we have in Georgia, we have ours in France, and there's also the one in Cardiff, UK. Boy, there's a lot of Vanguard to be had. There is so much more, and I hope you guys enjoy it with us as well. So from us to you, have a great weekend, have a good Thanksgiving weekend, and we will see you guys next time. Be awesome, stay awesome, have a wonderful day. Thank you all for tuning in and stopping on by. Take care.